Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, lollipop blow in the...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Show O's on the radio, the top's where we gonna go, Miami, that's the way we roll.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
On the morning show, Big O, no one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk...
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Live and direct, because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live.
When you're ready to...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, there we go. Now we're in. Hope all is well. Wow. I right before I was going on, I almost you swallow wrong and you start coughing. Damn, nice way to start the show. Anyway, welcome aboard. Let me have a little water here and make sure I'm cleared up here and ready to go and rocking and rolling. I see folks are already on the chat board. Thank you all. Good morning on a beautiful Tuesday. Appreciate all of you at least tuning in and following us as always and giving us some amazing support, which again, you guys are, I can't say enough about what's been going on with everybody out there and the way you guys have supported this show. We tweeted it out yesterday. I always tell you guys to follow us on Twitter at Big O Show, because we either put, guests that are coming up or things that are happening on the show or appearances or new records like what happened yesterday, which again, I did not see that coming. Just like I have not seen a lot of this coming, to be honest with you. And yesterday we had a record 95,000 downloads. 95,450, if we want to be exact. 95,000 downloads, which, by the way, we are now over 1 million downloads in the last 30 days here on the program. Over 1 million, okay? 1.04, if you want to be exact. And again, thank you all out there. I appreciate all of you that's hitting the like button, that's sharing the link, that's sharing the podcast, that's visiting our sponsors. All of these things are going to help. When I hear from Brett that people say, hey, I heard about Caneswear on Big O Show, it helps. When you go to Acura and you buy or lease a vehicle at Acura Pembroke Pines and you tell, the folks, hey, man, I heard it on the big this is going to allow us to grow. And so I just want to thank you guys for just, yesterday, Sean and I were sitting there going, what the hell is this? It was just climbing, and it was, a shocker. So I guess the next one is the 6 digits on a day. And I'm going to freak. I may have a heart attack that day if that happens, if we get on another run like yesterday. So I can't thank all of you enough for what you're doing and helping us. And, whether you go to Cash App or Venmo and you send in something to Cash Big O Show, which you all have done already many times and, over the weekend and everything. So I thank all of you out there, whether you're podcasting, whether you're, watching us live, whatever it is. We're doing our best now to improve on the video side. You can tell we're trying to do a little more work on the video side too, to grow that also in the process, because I know a lot of people love the video portion of all of this too at the same time, because you get to see the interaction that goes on at times. So thank you all out there again. I just, I couldn't say enough. I mean, there was 1 hour where we had 18,000 downloads in an hour. I mean, just things that, wow. It's amazing. It's funny because it's a funny story, because when our first day that we did a podcast, right? And the only thing we posted was the complete show. We didn't really, I had to learn about, okay, how do people like to download, And I remember we got like 500 downloads in the first day. And I was excited that, hey, all right, well, we got some downloads, we got some response, and then it started to build from there. And, and it's gone on and gotten better and better and better. And I'm working on trying to create obviously more, I'm trying to see if we can get a bigger studio. I'm trying to see if we can expand a little bit more, bring more to you guys out there. I want the show to continue to grow and add more elements to it. But again, baby steps. But you think about it, we started on June 14th. And from June 14th to now is nothing, actually. You know what I mean? Really, it's really nothing. So it's been a really quick journey here. And I can't say enough about what all of you have been doing and supporting us. And thank you. And keep spreading the word, keep sharing the links. Keep smashing the like button every time you're listening to the podcast, you're watching on YouTube. All of those things help us grow in a big time way. By the way, I talked to my guy, Dudley Durong, and starting next week, we will be doing together a weekly segment also. It'll be on his channel. We'll do it on his channel, but it'll be on Tuesdays, I believe, that you'll get to see me and Dudley do our thing every single week throughout the NFL season. So for those of you that follow Dudley, or if you don't, you better follow him. Dudley Durong, follow him. He is a good dude and obviously a friend of the program. And I would imagine that we're friends of his program too. So we're going to have some fun, Dudley and myself, doing a show every Tuesday for all of you out there. We'll record it on Monday night, and then he'll work his magic. And, he'll try to make me look better, which is really hard. I don't know how Dudley does it, but whatever makeup he puts on me, electronically or whatever it is that he makes me do. Yeah, and then he'll post it on Tuesday morning and it'll be ready to go. And we'll be recapping the Dolphins every single week over on his show. So good stuff there. Again, appreciate all of you out there for everything that you've been doing for the program. It is Buffalo week, right? I think we'll get a little more into the Buffalo game as the week goes on. We obviously will stay in the mode of talking a little bit about what happened this past week and what's going to happen with the team itself before we start, talking about the Bills themselves. So we'll get into that. I got a couple things I want to talk about. Ira Winderman will join us for his weekly segment, his bi-weekly segment, or not bi-weekly. It's twice weekly. How would you call that? Is it? Because bi-weekly is like once every 2 weeks, right? So it's, what is it, twice a week, whatever. His twice a week segment, because he's always on Tuesdays and Fridays. And so he'll join us at 10:30 to talk a little NBA and Miami Heat. Got some stuff that I want to talk about with him. 12:30, Manny Navarro is going to stop by. We're going to talk a little Miami Hurricanes with him after the barely get by App State win. That was a little disturbing, but it is what it is. So we'll get to it and we'll talk to Manny about several issues with the Canes and philosophical issues too. Also that we'll get into it with Manny and the Canes. Of course, there are many ways to participate on the program. Many of you already are on the chat board, and I appreciate all of you out there as always on the YouTube chat board, which David Triana was first at 7:22 a.m. saying, another day closer to Sunday, ready for another killer show. Oh, thank you, sir. And then Chris Adams was in, and he said it's on week 2. Home opener. Bills are going to melt in the second half. And by the time next week, we will stand alone in the division at 2-0. And that would be nice. And then Steve Chapman gets in. So Chapman got beat out by 2 folks there because, Steve is kind of the king of the hill almost every single day on the program, being number 1 there. So there you go, David coming in. And I believe David's the one that lives out in the West Coast. So that's really early, dude. 7:22. My man is up at 4:22 a.m. Holy moly. You are strong, David. Thank you, sir, as always. I appreciate all of you out there. But again, I 95,000 downloads yesterday. Hard to get over that, man. I'm telling you, it's just wow. It's really awesome by all of you out there. I really, really, really appreciate how much we've grown. And remember, for those of you that might be new and you might be coming in and out of the show, you might be downloading the show and you don't know, because sometimes you only download a piece of the show here, a piece of the show there, and maybe you don't listen to the whole show. And because if you don't really listen to the whole show, you may not get all the tidbits. You might get the rants and the interviews and things like that you might like to listen to, but the back and forth, which has other things involved like news for the show or things like that, you may miss out on it. Just in case, for those of you that don't know, we'll be at Sports Grill this Sunday in Miami Lakes for our second appearance there. Remember, we're going to be there for our first 8 games. So that's game 2 is coming up. So we'll be there 2 hours prior to kickoff. We will be on to talk a little Bills and Dolphins. I encourage all of you to please get out there to Miami Lakes. It's really easy place to get to. It's right off of the Palmetto on 154th. And the Palmetto, all you got to do is get off and go west. And it's right when you go west, it's that first shopping center that's on your right side when you get off in the Palmetto. So please come on out there, join us, watch the game. It's nice and early. You can show up by 11, 12, whatever, get your table and get ready for the 1 o'clock game or 12:30, whatever. And come on by and get ready. And we're going to have some fun, and you can have some delicious wings. And once again, just in case you weren't watching yesterday and you're watching today or downloading today, thank you to those of you that showed up on Sunday night. That was actually, or Sunday late afternoon into the evening. Thank you all out there for coming out, man. It was awesome. Really, really appreciate it that you all showed up out there and supported us. So let's get the crowd bigger and bigger every week. And we're starting to become a good team. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of watching these Dolphins. Yeah, I see that the Greg Bedard interview has gotten a lot of traction from the pregame show. If you guys didn't get to hear it, you might want to go back. Maybe the video is up also if you want to go to YouTube. But the podcast is there, and Greg, obviously a Patriots writer. He was formerly down here for a little while. Greg was working for, I want to say it was the Palm Beach Post. That Greg was the beat writer for the Dolphins back in the day, and so he's been up there in Boston for a while now, and obviously runs his own publication in the Boston Sports Journal. And he has, and that's what I love, that he has that point of view that it's the same old Dolphins. And I loved it. And he was like, I kind of debunked everything he said pretty much, I feel. But the way I see the Dolphins and the way he sees the Dolphins, that's the beauty of sports, man. We're all going to view it a little different. You know what I'm saying? For many years, I didn't really view much of the Dolphins. I didn't think they were much, and I was right. But there were a lot of you that were, you're gung-ho, and every year for you is a Super Bowl year. And that's just not the reality. And so I would piss off some of you out there when I would tell you, yeah, no, you're not going anywhere with Joe Philbin. Oh, no, hey, what do you think about the team with Cam Cameron? No, I don't, and then I would piss you off that way. So a lot of people think that's the Dolphins that's out there on the field now. And, so I think it was a fun interview, actually. I enjoyed it because at this point, I am relishing the people that are going to doubt the Dolphins now. I'm going to enjoy this because once they do become a good team, then we're going to have some fun with those folks. It's like, well, you kept thinking it was the same old Dolphins, right? It's just, it's all right. Meanwhile, there's Flo. He's 3-2 against Belichick, and he's won twice in Foxborough. How many Dolphin coaches can you say have beaten Belichick at home twice in their entire tenure? Forget about just 3 years, because we've had some bums here that hung on around longer than 3 years, So if you could keep, if those guys can't do it, now this guy's doing it, I don't think there are a lot of people in the NFL that are 3-2 against Belichick in their first 5 meetings. I don't know. But if you want to keep thinking it's the same old Dolphins, you can keep thinking it's the same old Dolphins. But if you want to hear that interview, go to either YouTube or go on the podcast and check it out with Greg Bedard. Now, I also want to warn you ahead of time. If you're really, really passionate, you're going to be pissed off during that interview. Okay? Not at me. At least not today. You're not going to be pissed off at me. Maybe one day down the line, you'll be pissed off at me. But you'll definitely be pissed off at Greg. And he stirred it up. That's for damn sure. But it'll be fun. He'll owe me some, and I'm going to pick an expensive ass cigar. Okay? And he's not going to get off with like a $10 cigar. I'm going to make his ass buy me a really nice cigar. He's going to spend some money. Trust me. When it's all said and done, he thinks the Dolphins won't make the playoffs. Let's see. Sports Grill. They were fine. Man, that wasn't that bad yet. The internet. It was fine. It happens, bro.
See, Dola, listen, my brother, there's no such thing as the perfect internet. It drops to your house. It drops everywhere. All right? It's like cell phones. I say, oh, well, hey, what's your cell phone company? What cell phone company stays up the entire time? So, listen, if you're going to make shit up, you know what I'm saying? Not going to fly here. Make it sound like it was down the entire time. It was perfect most of the time. So you're going to have glitches here and there. But, and it was mostly with the connecting people. It wasn't me, actually, because I kept seeing myself pretty much. And then there were a couple times that we went down. But in 4 hours of broadcasting, if it happens a couple times, that's going to happen. It's not a big deal. That's the internet. And nothing's perfect on the internet. Nothing's perfect on cell phones. Doesn't matter what company you have, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Metro PCS. Doesn't matter what company you have. You're going to have drops. You're going to have places that you're not going to be able to hear. And that's just the way. That's the life we live, man. So when you can find the perfect cell phone and the perfect internet, please tell me, because I'd love to have them at my house. I'd love to have them everywhere, because last time I checked, that shit doesn't exist. Let's see. Chris Adams says, I know it's only Tuesday, but how's ready for the Bills? Can't wait to shut the world up again. 11-6 is the floor for this team. We win this week, and we're winning the division. Put it in the bank. Well, let's hope everything goes well, too. You know what I mean? Let's see. What else do we have here? Steven Gonzalez says, good morning, my peoples. Big O, love you, bro. What a game last night. That was fun last night. So Raiders at the end, that whole deflection and the interception, and then the kid, what's the name of the kid? Brian Edwards, dives for the touchdown, and then he falls short, and they think they scored, and everybody's thanking everybody and congratulating and saying what's up and all that stuff, and then they had to clear the field to do it all over again, and they couldn't score from that whole situation. I mean, it was entertaining as hell. I will say that. It was a great football weekend. The Dallas game was probably better than I expected. This game last night was probably a little better than I expected. I can't use it as one of my picks, so I stay at 4-4, but I did take the Raiders actually last night. I took the points. And I don't see, to me, I know a lot of people are, and I know he's a freakish talent, Lamar Jackson. I still don't fear him as a quarterback. I just don't. I don't fear him as a passer. And that's the thing, that what you have to fear is his legs. And eventually those legs will get cut off, because you don't run like that for your whole career. You can only do that for a certain amount of years, and you can only take so many hits. And yesterday, he fumbled twice, and I know he's a fantastic kid, and I know he can run like the wind and all that stuff. But, it's still kind of gimmicky to me. And I look at, Derek Carr, you look at yesterday, 455 yards, 34-56. And here's Lamar Jackson, 19 of 30, 235 yards and a touchdown. And I know he was 12 for 86 rushing. And that's where he makes the ultimate difference right there. But until he becomes a difference maker with his arm, I saw somebody on Twitter yesterday post Kyler Murray in the clutch, and it shows him, trying to make a play. And then Lamar Jackson in the clutch, and he's in a pile, fumbling. And when I looked at both, I said, well, it's simple. One's a passer, the other one isn't. Because Kyler Murray can run around like an athlete, but he is a legitimate passer, where I don't see the other kid as a legitimate passer. But it was an entertaining as hell game. Brian Edwards, a South Carolina kid, had done nothing throughout the game, and then was the ultimate difference maker at the end. Henry Ruggs. And you talk about a kid, and I know it's only a couple years so far, but man, it has not gone well with him. He didn't finally make a play, but it was that they've been trying to get him involved, and it just has not really translated yet. And I know they talked a little bit about it in the broadcast that he and Derek Carr haven't really hooked up like they thought they would. And it was, listen, super entertaining game yesterday. You got to admire that the Ravens have had so many injuries already leading up to it. And that's the thing. If you're a Dolphins fan, got to be pretty lucky, man. There hasn't been a lot of injuries. You had the Shaheen COVID thing going on. You've got Preston Williams still trying to come back from an injury, but you don't really have a ton of injuries. Hopefully, Raekwon Davis, coach was asked about it yesterday, and he said, well, they're running some tests, all that, but he was sprinting on the sidelines. It looked like it doesn't seem like it was serious. Looks like he's going to get through it and he'll be ready for the Buffalo game, which they desperately need because they need to crumble that pocket, man, in a big-time way. And, Omar made a good point on Monday that they're not necessarily a power running team up the middle because they've got their backs probably a little bit more finesse. So he's right. So you're not really going to be tested nearly as much up the middle like you would with some other teams that really want to, punch you in the gut and run the football. So, but no, listen, last night, that was fun. 33-27 Raiders. I give them credit. I didn't watch the Peyton Eli stuff. I saw it on social media. I didn't take the time to watch myself, so I can't tell you anything about it. But all I know is I heard good things and then I heard bad things on social media. Social media was kind of a 60-40, I would say, that people didn't like it. They weren't, whatever. And I don't know what it was. You guys would have to tell me. I'm going to try to see if I can remember to watch it next time and try to catch it and see what they're talking about and if it's any good. I didn't take the time, unfortunately, to watch it yesterday. So I know Peyton has got plenty of personality. So I don't know how much it was X's and O's and how much it was joking around and how much is it family joking around, because those two, obviously, when you get them together, they're talking about all kinds of stuff that they've done to each other. So, and that's fun and that's all well and good. But the question is, does it get in the way of watching the game overall? Or I'm sure Peyton is going to drop some nuggets and hopefully Eli does too about certain things football wise. So I would imagine that if you're a junkie, you have to be able to get something out of it, but you guys will have to tell me overall what is your reviews on Peyton and Eli last night in the Monday night game between the Raiders and the Ravens. What else did I see? And I'll tell you what, when I watch both teams, I can't tell you Miami can't beat both. I told you I don't necessarily fear Lamar the passer. Lamar drag route Jackson. Lamar crossing pattern Jackson, because they love to throw those crossing routes right behind the line of scrimmage. There you go. I mean, they throw that pass like 70% of the time. That's what they're doing. Or if not, he's dumping off to the tight end. It's not like the passing tree that he has is this amazing tree that he throws every route out there. That doesn't really put a lot of fear in me, especially when Miami has a pretty good secondary. And then obviously the Raiders, for me, the Raiders are a joke as it is. They've got some talent. Yes, no doubt about it. But it's not a team that I would fear, and Miami's going to get to play them. So it should be interesting watching that matchup. That's the one thing that I walked away from. It wasn't like, okay, I know Miami played an ugly game this week on the road, and they won. I feel they can get better, actually. I don't fear them going into the Buffalo this week, actually, especially at home. Maybe towards the end of the season when it's winter and you're in Buffalo, okay, that might be a pain in the ass. But this Sunday, I'm not sitting there going, oh, wow, yeah, the Dolphins for sure are going to lose. Dolphins have a chance to win. In one of the matchups last year, they almost beat them. So why can't they do that this week? And, the beauty is you get Fuller and Shaheem back on offense. That's, that I'm looking forward to that. That's pretty cool. Now you're going to add 2 more weapons to the offense. I don't think Preston's going to come back right now. And in a way, you really don't need Preston. If Parker is healthy and he looked good this week, and you get the other guys, you got Waddle and you got Fuller out there with a lot of speed, that's going to open up the middle of the field. So I think Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki are set to have some pretty big games this week because Buffalo can look at the tape and say, okay, this is what they did against Gesicki, but the problem is they didn't have to deal with Fuller. So now you've got Fuller with Waddle and Parker and Gesicki. I think that now makes the offense that much better. So this is one element to the game that I'm really looking forward to against the Bills because Tua will be home. You'll have the home field advantage. You should have enough Dolphin buzz in the building. And now Tua is going to line up with two more weapons. The anti-vaxxer will be on the field opposite of Gesicki. You can run 2 tight end sets if you want to. And then you've got Fuller and Waddle on the field now, and maybe that opens it up a little bit more for Albert Wilson, who was mighty quiet this past week, where he had a great opportunity and did absolutely nothing. And this is why I wasn't like some of you out there. Oh, Albert Wilson. Oh no, Albert Wilson's a difference maker. What difference did he make this past Sunday? In fact, what the hell has he accomplished in the NFL? A guy that averages 300-400 yards a year? What does he have, 5-7 touchdowns or something like that in 2 years with the Dolphins? I mean, what's he accomplished? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. Had a great opportunity this week. No Fuller. Couldn't get it done. They took his ass out of the game. Couldn't take Jalen Waddle out of the game, right? And he's a rookie. I'm just saying, it's sometimes fans and sometimes media, we fall in love with a player and there's not enough substance there to fall in love with the player. And Albert Wilson's that guy. Many of you were out in a corner playing with yourselves, getting excited about Albert Wilson because he ran around for 10 days in camp in shorts. I've been doing this shit for 31 years. You know how many guys I've seen go around and press people in shorts? Tell me what you've done in the regular season on a consistent basis so I can believe that you're actually going to be impactful. Albert Wilson is a complimentary receiver. A number 4 is what he's been his whole life. He's never been a frontline guy. And he had all the opportunity in the world on Sunday, and yet they took his ass out. So let's stop with the Albert Wilson love affair. Let's wait till he actually accomplishes something before you guys start telling me what's coming with Albert Wilson. But I'll tell you what's coming. It's Ira Winderman, baby. We're going to talk a little basketball. We're going to switch gears here. I want to get into a little NBA. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about on the league side, and then we'll talk, of course, a little Miami Heat with Ira Winderman next.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
Oh, yes, Ira, how are you doing? We caught you again taking your glasses off. It's, you're just slightly slow there on it.
I was expecting to hear more from our fine sponsor, the good folks at Acura of Pembroke Pines there. So I apologize. I thought we'd be pushing more products. I know you're not out there like you often are in our Friday broadcast there, but we got to push product also here. Even I, as the guest, appreciate that. So
it's all over the board that we're on
bottom
right
of the
now.
Screen, folks. Yes,
bottom
of the screen.
Bottom, top, everywhere. You know what I mean? That's why I think this format has exploded the way it has. Ira, 1 million downloads in the last 30 days. We had 95,000 downloads yesterday.
Yes, I have the wife and the son in the other room constantly clicking and running various programs there. Thanks to the added income you've given us in cryptocurrency, we've been able to get a whole motherboard going here. So we're doing our part, Big O.
Exactly. Everybody's doing their part, and that's the beauty. And we're not, when I talk for an hour, there's only a couple of minutes of commercials. That's it. We're not doing 25 minutes of commercials in an hour. And I think that's why people are, the chat boards are growing and people are tuning in, because they're getting substance and they're not getting a whole bunch of fluff. And yet we're still taking care of our amazing sponsors at the same time, because
so folks, I'm pointing down there, right about there. If you're watching us on YouTube, all the information you need is there as we talk basketball.
That's right. And that's why we take care of our great sponsors, and we broadcast out there twice a month and all of that. So, we do our part. We take care of our great spot. But plus, they've taken care of me, Ira. Sure. They've been with us for 11 years, man. I mean, that's loyalty, man. And I love the great people out there at Craig's Inn. They are just absolutely phenomenal with us. So we really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate all of you out there that are making this more your habit in visiting us over here. All right, Ira, before I get into maybe some Heat stuff, first of all, I want to bounce around the NBA. And first, Bosh, obviously, Hall of Fame, well-deserved. I know, and I loved, I think we all appreciate Chris Bosh, the human being, a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a guy that actually showed us the side of being a human being many times. And what I loved in that speech is he talked about his pain also, that maybe it even lingers to this day a little bit, that he couldn't finish his career the way he wanted. But I thought it was a phenomenal speech. I love the fact that he gave Riley back his ring also, which, in the big picture, I'm thinking that's a ballsy move by Riley to give him a ring to hold on until they win one. And if they never won one, what the hell happens then? You know what I'm saying? And so it's just kind of, it was a terrific night overall. It was one of those where you appreciated what he brought to the table and the selflessness that he brought to the table too.
Yeah, a few things to unpack there. First, Pat has duplicates of his championship ring. So Pat ain't giving out the main diamond encrusted one. That remains very much in the Riley hand down over the years, so that stays there. Here's something interesting, though. I spoke to both Pat and Chris on Thursday last week ahead of the induction. I asked Chris about the ring, and he was very coy. He goes, "Oh, I don't know. I think I'll just wait for the right moment." You know that he had that all planned, so he was coy with me. I talked to Pat Riley about it, and he goes, "This is really interesting." Now, I didn't use this in the story because I didn't want to give the Heat any more grief. Pat goes to me, "I probably have to get that back sooner, or the NBA might accuse me of tampering." And I figure with the tampering investigation ongoing, if I quoted Pat that way, the great Heat PR guy, Tim Donovan, would be calling me right away. "What are you thinking? What are you doing?" So I do think it caught Pat by surprise. But clearly it was something that Chris had in the works all along. The way he handled it, first of all, on Saturday morning, I got in touch and I asked, what's the order of the speakers? This was a huge Hall of Fame class. I know most of our listeners and people watching right now on YouTube were watching the Canes game instead. 16 people were enshrined. All of a sudden, I get the list. Chris Bosh is 16. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what are we talking here? It starts at 7, 9:30, 10, 10:30, which proved to be the time. It just took forever. So I got to watch almost all of the Canes game. By the time they were kicking the winning field goal, that's when Chris stepped up and started his speech. And what a speech. And that one line, and I know you know this because you do this as a radio person and media personality. When you write your scripts, you try to find that one line. And when Chris goes that all of his tears led up to planting the seeds for what would come next. You're like, whoa, that's an NBA player. That's a line I wish I could have used. How did he think about it? And that's the thing about Chris Bosh. Just as he was meticulous on the court with his game, with his practice and everything else, you know that speech was not written the day he arrived in Springfield, the week before he arrived in Springfield, even the month before. This was something that was months in the works. And as honestly, I thought after Paul Pierce spoke, the place would be emptying out. There were fans at the Springfield Civic Center. He's the local New England guy. That would be it. And if you left Chris Bosh's speech, you left the most impactful moment, I think, of that night. It was wonderful. It's available on YouTube. If you get a chance after the Big O radio show, go over and listen to it. It was fantastic.
That is the key part. Also, any report on how many strippers were waiting for Paul Pierce outside?
You know, it was interesting because Paul gave, I don't want to say defiant, but that kind of speech where he like, I don't give a crap what you say about me. I'm Paul freaking Pierce. I'm the truth. My ego is going to let nothing get in the way. It was, you know, his was, and I know, you're probably preoccupied with the UM game also, or maybe Inter Miami or some of the other stuff that was on the exact same time. But Paul Pierce's speech reminded me of Michael Jordan's as sort of the final FU to anyone who dare cross his path or doubt him, whereas everyone else got up on the podium there, got up to the lectern and spoke about how honored they were, how special it was. Paul Pierce got up there and basically went, you darn well I expected to be here. I darn well expected to be here. Of course I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm Paul Pierce. I'm the truth. And then immediately attacked and listed every team that bypassed him in the draft before the Celtics took him. So there was a little Jordan-esque approach to that. God bless him or whatever. Chris was different. Didn't thank a lot of people, but mentioned them along the way. Really recreated his journey. It was special. Paul Pierce, more of his long-awaited FU moment.
Will they also include the wheelchair in the Naismith Hall of Fame? I'm just wondering for Paul Pierce, just in his corner.
Yeah, okay. So maybe Paul's injury wasn't that severe when he was.
Put his bust on top of the wheelchair. I mean, that's that maybe.
You know what? You know what? Always interesting. People always ask me what team
pushing the wheelchair.
You know what? People always ask me, what team are you enshrined with? They don't understand. This is not like baseball. You don't have a baseball cap on your bust. You're just enshrined as a player. So Chris wasn't enshrined as a Raptor or as a Heat. Paul Pierce wasn't enshrined. Of course, he is as a Celtic, but he also played for the Nets, for the Wizards, for the Clippers. So you're right. He could also be on the wheelchair team. They could put him all in there because there is no delineation there. Probably the most polarizing player during Hall of Fame presentation night. You have Chris Webber, of course, for what happened in Michigan and the payments and how the school itself wouldn't honor him. So that, of course, was a little bit different. You had Ben Wallace talking about the undrafted player. Paul took it the other direction. But honestly, Chris Bosh, I think if we voted, if we had little boxing scorecards at the end of the night, I think we would have given the last round and the night to Chris Bosh.
Right. And I wouldn't be surprised. It would take somebody that's, at another level at IQ wise to beat a guy like Chris Bosh, who's just, he's just a complete dude, man. That's Chris Bosh. I will ask, I would imagine that Wade's not going to wait long, right? This is a first ballot thing in a couple of years. I imagine,
he is eligible in 2 years. We saw this, of course, with Derek Jeter in the Baseball Hall of Fame last week. There's always some guy out there who refuses to make it unanimous. There's always some guy, well, you're not Bill Russell, you're not Michael Jordan. Like, don't be an ass. Dwayne Wade is 100% lock in 2 years. Matter of fact, he's going to be the same year as Dirk Nowitzki, which is sort of ironic with the Heat and the Mavericks playoffs, but also their playoffs together. I almost wonder, Chris Bosh did not get in the first year for the reason of it was Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett year. They decided to keep it an intimate and special induction. I wonder 2 years from now in 2023, because of Nowitzki, how he changed the game with his game, because of Dwayne Wade, how he was top 2, top 3 all-time shooting guard, if they maybe keep that class small also, speeches a little bit longer because of special players, Dwayne Wade will be in Springfield 2 years from now. It will be his weekend. He will own that weekend. And no, he will not go in as a Chicago Bull or a Cleveland Cavalier.
Yeah, something tells me that maybe the Sun Sentinel will spend a couple of bucks and send you up there for that one, right? I would imagine.
They might swing a few bucks for that. And I was torn, but I got to admit, the one thing I understand also in our market, God bless Chris Bosh. But when you have a UM game on Saturday night and you have the Dolphins season opener against the Patriots, sometimes you got to make decisions also. So in this case, I would rather have been at games this season. You'll be catching me without this backdrop a lot when I'm on the road this season for the Big O show and these Acura Pembroke Pine reports. But that's the whole thing is you sort of got to figure when. I understand my place. This is football season. Keeping the stories down a little, enjoying talking to you twice a week. Clay Ferraro, on our weekly Wednesday report, also brought to you by Pallet Rock City. I enjoy that also. So, yes, but Dwayne will be different. Most Heat people were in Springfield this weekend for Chris Bosh. Every Heat person, including the Arisons and everyone, I can't fathom not being there when it's Dwayne Wade's time, the first weekend or second weekend in September of 2023.
Hell yeah, it's Wade County, man. I live in, so he's. I want to go there. By the way, I want to be there for that. Actually,
it's going to be special. Yeah.
Do the show out there for a couple of days.
And Dwayne was there. And Dwayne was there for Chris's thing this week. And that was important. He made a big presence there. He did the red carpet. He spoke about Chris on NBA TV show. Eric Spoelstra was there. Pat Riley was there. LeBron was there. And him and Chris did not have the best relationship. They didn't. And at times, LeBron treated Chris like another Mario Chalmers. But I think LeBron knew how important that moment was. So to see Pat Riley and Ray Allen as presenters, you have to be in the hall to be a presenter. That's why Dwayne or LeBron couldn't be. But they all realize that. And like you said, it'll be like Eric Spoelstra says, for Dwayne Wade, it'll be 10x.
Yeah, and I'm sure after his experiences post-Bosh with other players and other characters and other personalities, now that he got to bounce around a little bit, he probably is now appreciating what Bosh brought to the table.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, hey, to this day, Chris Bosh still has the most important rebound, the most important block, and the most important assist in the history of the Miami Heat. Okay? End of story. And that rebound to Ray Allen and that block on Danny Green in the corner and the assist, obviously, to Ray Allen. Dude, you can't talk about a guy that, that guy made some impactful plays for this team to secure that championship. All right, let's move to the NBA now. There is talk about an in-season tournament. It's funny how Vlade Divac years ago, coming from the world of Europe, where flopping was, normal for soccer players. Vlade was patient zero, patient X, came to the NBA, brought flopping, and now flopping is something that has gone over to football also, and we know it's all over basketball. And so now, in soccer, again, in-season tournaments are something normal that's been part of soccer life. So it looks like basketball is thinking about inheriting something else from the world of soccer. What do you hear about this in-season tournament, which is planned for a couple of years if they decide to do this?
It's all about the money. Do they get the television partners on board? Can they generate additional revenue? Then anything's a go, because just like the play-in tournament. But, to me, there's a fundamental difference why this is a terrible idea. Okay, I understand in soccer, you have UEFA, you have the FA Cup, for example, in Britain. In Britain, you have it everywhere. But here's the difference: in soccer, you don't have playoffs, except here for Major League Soccer. You just have a table, and the season ends. So you don't have a whole additional major part of your season. Here, even in the MLS, you have a soccer playoffs, which to a lot of players in the MLS is like, playoffs? What's that? The table is done. We got our points and we're done. So I think a tournament in season works in soccer because that's their secondary championship. There's the regular season, the only season. You finish at the top of your table after the final week of the season, you're done. So you can play something else. I don't see how a league that also has playoffs should also hold a tournament. Because first you're crowning, you know how this goes, you're crowning a regular season champion. You're crowning a playoff champion with separate statistics and a separate MVP. And now you're having a third thing. That's where I think this falls flat, is that it is different than soccer. You're never getting rid of your playoffs. Playoffs are an American thing. You have it in all of your sports. But I think adding another in-season tournament, so what? So if it's not holding the NBA championship, it's not holding that trophy. There's not a playoff system that's going to be better than the NBA playoffs. I think it could be intriguing. I understand you can offer $1 million per player they're talking about to the winners, which is great for Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. But you know what? For Jimmy Butler or someone who's making 40, some that Steph Curry $50 million now, is it worth it to play those extra games and risk injury when it's all about whether you're an NBA champion, not a Stern Cup champion or something like that?
When I read that, and I'm with you, I don't think you need to do that here. Plus, I don't think we'll appreciate it as Americans. I think we'll look at it as a gimmick is what we'll end up looking at it. Like even in soccer here in this country, we have the U.S. Open Cup. And that's and let me tell you, the MLS players, they hate playing the US Open Cup. I've been covering this thing for years. And obviously, if you're in the NASL, which no longer exists, or the USPSL or now it's called the USL 1, those kind of things, and USL. If you're in the lesser leagues in this country, because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there's like a second and a third and a fourth league in this country. Yeah, you look forward to that. Obviously, you want to play against the big boys, but we don't even take it serious even in this country that much on the upper levels of the MLS. So when I look at it,
one other thing, to add to your thought there, think about even the Gold Cup. The U.S. was fantastic in the Gold Cup this year. They beat Mexico. And yet when the U.S. lost their first two CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, every analyst, whether it was Alexi Lalas, whether it was anyone else, they were talking about it didn't matter. All that matters is World Cup qualifying. No one cared that you're Gold Cup champion. What the hell is the Gold Cup? So again, that's a difference in mentality also. It has to have some discernible payoff. You know what would make it special? Oh, this. If the team that wins the cup becomes the U.S. Olympic team. Think about that. Think about if it had something tangible, that instead of sending an all-star team, all we hear about is these NBA all-star teams, the Olympics, they haven't practiced together, and the other international teams have. So maybe one out of every 4 years you hold the NBA Cup and the winner goes to the Olympics. That'll motivate players. That'll draw my interest to see which NBA team is going to go over to the Olympics that year. That would be a way to do it. But it would be nothing more than soccer's Gold Cup to U.S. fans. Hey, it was great. They finally beat Mexico. So what? They also crapped out their first two games in CONCACAF Olympic World Cup qualifying. We know we're smart, especially here on the Big O Show. We know what matters more. You can't fool us.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing that I thought might make it interesting is if you grab the top 4 or 6 basketball leagues in the world and you get the champions of all those leagues and maybe the runner-ups, and then you kind of play a tournament at one point in the year and something like that. That might be interesting. But an in-season tournament, see, because that way at least we can get jingoistic, we can root for our Americans and all that good stuff, and then all the other countries can root for their champion from their league in their country. That's maybe something that could work.
NBA players wouldn't care. Just like, as you know, Big O, MLS teams sit a lot of their prime players in the Lamar Hunt Cup and things like that, because it just doesn't matter as much to them. The Premier League teams in the early rounds of the FA Cup, they sit their best players also. So, we are what we are. Look, I have no issue with trying to juice the game a little. I have no difference. Hockey went to 3-on-3 overtime, or the NFL changed overtime and a field goal doesn't end it. I understand tweaks to the game. We should evolve to attention spans of fans. But I think sometimes you got to understand we are inherently different from world sports to some degree also.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like when it's funny when I hear soccer fans in this country. Well, no, you guys had put in regulation and promotion. I'm like, dude, we're Americans. We don't do that.
Right.
Go look at all of our sports. You think these billionaires are going to invest in something that can be sent out? Do you know what the minors are in this country? The minors are close to hell. You're right next to hell. It's not like in England that the first division gets a ton of support. Actually, people care about the second and third divisions that are under
the championship of the Premier League is just as big almost, and there's some teams there that have been on the cusp for years. They have big stadiums, but can you imagine David Beckham finally getting maybe his Miami stadium built, and all of a sudden you wind up relegated, and you're talking about tonight's big game against Spokane. Yeah, try selling that in Miami.
Yeah, no, and they have Fort Lauderdale CF there. So imagine you get sent down to join that league. You know what I mean? It's like, crap.
And then Fort Lauderdale's promoted, and all of a sudden they're still playing the most important games over there by Commercial Boulevard.
That is just absolutely awesome. All right, I saw in some of your articles that you were talking a little bit about, is more offense going to be required from Jimmy Butler? And then I read it, and look, there's a part of me that here's the way I got enraged with that.
Okay.
If if this effing team needs to lean on Jimmy Butler the entire year, I'm going to be pissed, because then I know Butler's going to be out of gas at the end. And then you got to, this is the year where Bam and Tyler and Duncan have to carry some big time weight here and make life easy for Butler, make life easy for Lowry, save these dudes for when it matters, because that's what they were made for. So let's not burn their asses out in the 82. The young guys need to effing step up this year. And, we're crossing fingers. If you can get Depot healthy towards the end of the season, then he also needs to help carry the load. My point is, the young guys better do their job, and you better not be wearing Jimmy out for the entire season, because I don't think that benefits Miami in the postseason.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make at Ask Ira today at sunsentinel.com was this, is that you've lost the offense of Goran Dragic and of Kendrick Nunn. You've replaced it with Kyle Lowry, but not all of it. Jimmy Butler's never been a 25-point-a-game scorer. It's just not who he is. Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia. Don't think he'll be that here. So they have to find offense somewhere else. Maybe it is the natural growth, like you pointed out, Big O, of young players like Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. Maybe. You don't know it until you can see it. Otherwise, I think this team, adding in a PJ Tucker and a Markieff Morris, that's not the offense. Dwayne Dedmon, even Omar Yurtseven as a young player, that's not going to be there. So it'll have to come internally. But I still think it could be a struggle until the one point you made, and I didn't make that in that piece because I had space limitations. If Victor Oladipo comes back, I've got my offense. He's a known NBA scoring quantity, and it's there. Maybe my midseason will see that. Otherwise, I do think when this season starts, last season, the Heat did not have a single scorer in the top 25 in the NBA in the individual scoring rates. That makes it harder. It's a lot easier to give the ball to Damian Lillard and say score, or Bradley Beal and say score. When you do it collectively, and you need 3, 4, 5 guys to score 15, 18 points, everyone's got to be, sort of at their moment, at their scoring level in those games. So I think offense will be interesting. Maybe Kyle Lowry said, screw it, I got $85 million, I'm going to score more points. Or maybe Jimmy Butler says, as the questioner asked and Ask Ira at sunsentinel.com, because Jimmy doesn't have to be facilitator, because there's another defender in the backcourt in Kyle Lowry. Maybe Jimmy can turn his focus a little more to offense. But that's where Eric Spoelstra is going to come in. Media day, the first day of camp is 2 weeks from today. Eric Spoelstra is going to come in and talk defense, because that's what Miami Heat coaches do. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the offense, Big O.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And I'm going to be frustrated if the 3 young cats don't pick it up, because I think this team, actually, at least for this first season, I worry about other seasons because, man, they're getting older up there.
Sure.
But those young guys have to prove that they can carry the load night in and night out and then all those other guys you talked about are going to help you out defensively so much. And I think that's the Heat's vision, is that, hey, our young guys will pick it up a lot more. We could get Lowry and Jimmy to do their thing late in the season, the postseason, to put it over. And then we've got our core of guys that are dedicated to defense and will help, obviously stop the opponent. And then our guys will score, because the way the team is built, they're counting on those 3 young cats, man, to step it up. And maybe even if the Strus gets loose, you get another shooter in there. And listen, who knows? He might be a hell of a lot more consistent than Kendrick Nunn at shooting that 3.
Sure, and look at Tim Duncan. I wish. Look at Duncan Robinson from year 1 to year 2. The Heat players grow also. So, Duncan Robinson came in the first year, couldn't defend anyone, so they couldn't keep him on the court. Then he comes in, all of a sudden has this breakout record-setting second year. Maybe Max Strus is on that curve, but you know what? I wouldn't doubt the Heat's developmental program. It's special enough. Yeah, I'm curious about that also, Big O.
I definitely would never underestimate the Heat's development. That's for sure. Or scouting now. I mean, that's you just never know what they're going to end up finding. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Do what I do. Subscribe to the Sun Sentinel and support Ira and all the other great writers that are there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. What are you working on for the rest of the week, my man, so they can check you out?
Doing a story just now. The Heat right now. I just checked to see if there's a mask policy or not, because I've watched all these NFL games. No one's wearing a mask. As of now, on the Heat's ticket splash page, it is masks are required. So, you know what? Oh, we talk about non-sports stuff sometimes, but I know that's important to fans. So as of now, the Heat are saying masks are in place, indoor arena, no vaccination requirement. That's political. I'm staying the hell out of that for now. But, that's something also. So, again, all these teams trying to work through what's right, what raises revenue, how they can make the fans most comfortable. That'll be sort of an ancillary story, honestly, throughout the season.
For sure. And politically, that the NFL and the NBA are in two different spots, and more often than not.
But all the NFL teams and NBA teams in the state of Florida are under one governor, and that has a lot to do with it also. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're loosey-goosey with him. Everybody's free. Go ahead, kids.
He said it. He said it. That guy over there said
it. Ira, thank you as always, my brother. You're the best. We will talk on Friday, my friend. Well,
and
actually, we'll see you tomorrow with Clay.
With Clay Ferraro on Pallet Rock City's Inside the Paint. We'll give you a full hour, and we'll correct everything that Big O said that was wrong. Thanks, Big O.
There you go. That'll take 2 hours.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Alrighty, we are back. It's hour number 2 of the program. We're ready to rock and roll, and we thank Ira Winderman, as always, for joining us like he does every single week. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 11, you can catch Inside the Paint, the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show, as Ira and Clay will break it all down. They'll talk all NBA and Miami Heat. And listen, folks, this is a complete show. We're going to talk soccer. We're going to talk hockey. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk basketball. We're going to talk football. We'll talk plenty of Dolphins, of course. But it's a South Florida sports show. So if Canes are in, we're going to talk some Canes. If FIU and FAU are relevant, we will also be talking them. It doesn't matter what it is. We are a complete South Florida sports talk show. Obviously, Dolphins are my main passion. Everybody knows that. NFL, so that'll always be one of the things that's the center of what we talk about. But as I told Ira many moons ago when we were talking about this, for me, basketball is a year-round sport, and so is football. And I know we're in the off-season, but there's always things to talk about, and basketball fans need their fix. So you can get your fix here on the show many times a week throughout. Speaking, let me debunk a couple of things that I see here on the text line, so I can just first off the soccer thing. And Cidola, you're on a roll now because you're giving me material now. He puts, which is the laziest take in the world, for soccer. It's our best athletes don't play soccer. Actually, Cidola, it's a deeper problem than that. It's too obvious to say, well, what if LeBron James played soccer? Huh? Can you imagine if Giannis Antetokounmpo was our goalie? Which he would be for Greece, not for us, but whatever. But my point is that go look at soccer players. This is the biggest mystery in the effing world. Now listen to me. I want you to pay attention. Those of you out there, I've told you about this many, many years now, for those of you that have followed me. Okay, and I'll get back to football in a second. But I just want to kind of enlighten people on this because they never think about it. Okay? All the great soccer players, pretty much, they're 5'5", they're 6'6", they're 5'7", they're 5'8", maybe 5'9". Maybe you get a 5'10" guy. Very few of them are 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". Most of those guys are probably defenders or goalies. Whether you're talking about Pele, Maradona, I don't care who you're talking about, bro. Messi, you name it. They're short guys. And Pibe, whatever. You go look at it. Go look at most of these big time soccer players. Rooney, all these guys, they're short. This is what I've always asked. It's not our best athletes, Cidola. That's lazy. Where is our short, great athletes? That's the point. And now it's changing. Again, Cidola, you don't follow, so you don't know. So you haven't watched these young guys that we have now, Reyna and all these other cats that we have, Pulisic and all that. But we all, in every neighborhood in our country, we always had, you always had good athletes in your neighborhood, right? And you always had a kid that was short, or two of them that were really short. But they were fast as hell. They were great. They could play, all that. Because at our level, when we were kids, they were just as good as us. The shortness didn't affect them. Now, the shortness affects you when you get to the NFL. Affects you when you get to college. Affects you when you get to the NBA. Affects you when you get to the NHL. Affects you. You understand what I'm saying? We demand our football athletes to be big. We demand our baseball athletes to be big, our basketball athletes. Sure, there's a Danny Woodhead every once in a while, and, there's short guys. I think Wes Welker, I don't even know if he was 6 foot, maybe 5'10", 5'11", whatever. You got a couple of guys that are short in the NFL. Not a lot. You got a couple of guys, Pedroia, what's the dude that they said he had the mic, the Spanish kid from Houston, and I'm brain farting now. You have a couple of kids that are short in baseball, just a couple. Not a lot. Not a lot in baseball either. And in basketball, once in a blue moon, you'll get a Tyrone Muggsy Bogues. You'll get one or two, Spud Webb. You'll get a short guy that can hang in the NBA for a little bit. But the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and football are not loaded with short guys. They are very few far in between. And so then I always ask myself, what the F happened to all the short, great athletes in America? Did they not figure out that they can go play soccer and make a boatload of money? Because Iniesta is 5'7". I'm telling you, just go look at a bunch of the great soccer players. They're not tall. Most of them are short. Like Cristiano's like one of the few tall ones. But most of them are short. A lot of great soccer players. Put it this way. International soccer players, in the history of time, they have tons of short, great players. That doesn't happen in American sports. And so our American short athletes were cut off from pro sports, basically, and they never chose soccer. And I always wondered that. So to me, that's the bigger mystery, is why didn't they gravitate to soccer many years ago? Tyreek Hill, he's 5'10". Yep. So Altuve, that's it. Thank you, sir. So is Kamara short? Wow. I don't know if he's that short. But even 5'10" is way bigger than than um than what you average have in soccer. 5'10" is like enormous almost. But that's the mystery that I've always wondered. Like, wow, what happened? Why didn't our great American athletes, because we all had them in every neighborhood. Right now, as I was telling you that story, you remembered a kid in your neighborhood that was short, that was a kick-ass athlete. You always wanted him on your team because the kid could run like the wind or do whatever. It's just a great athlete, play great basketball, all of that, but it didn't affect you when we're kids. But professionally, obviously, it's a whole different, whole deal. Miami Kid J says Zoltan. Bro, Miami Kid J, if I start naming you the short soccer players, I'll crush you already. So please don't start with the stupidity of naming one guy or two that are big. They're all short, dude. All the great ones are short, by the way. Pretty much. All the great ones are all short. And that's all over the world. Messi, Maradona, and Pele, I think they're all under 5'9". 5'5", 5'7", 5'9". The greatest soccer players are short pretty much most of the time. It's amazing. That's the one sport that you can be short and freaking dominate. It's amazing. You don't have to – the tall guys that they use in the box for headers, yeah, of course, because shorter guys are going to be a little harder for headers. But everything else, dude, they're badasses. And it's amazing. And then what was the other thing that I saw that also was Eric Storm? He says, no one in the NBA can beat a healthy Lakers or Nets teams. Sorry, just facts. The facts are healthy. Eric, that's, that you just said it right there, dude. Health. So that's why they're not unbeatable, because they can't stay healthy. Like, okay, the Nets. I mean, give me a break, dude. Kyrie Irving's always breaking down. And AD is a sack of injuries. And sure enough, he finally he made it through the season before in the bubble. And I don't know, Eric, if the Heat is healthy. I don't know if the Lakers win last year. I'm not sure about that. So I disagree with you on that one. The way the Heat was playing last 2 years ago in the bubble, they easily had a shot to beat the. They took them to 6 without a healthy Bam and no Goran. So I couldn't disagree with you more on that. And the whole if healthy bullshit, that's the problem. You're talking about two teams that have guys that are never healthy. AD, you cannot count on. You can't count on Kyrie Irving. And by the way, Kevin Durant's had several injuries himself too. And last year it was Harden. And all those guys are getting older. So the wear and tear and more rehabs and all that stuff. And AD, please, he's as fragile as it gets, dude. I've never seen a more fragile 7-footer outside of Sam Bowie. AD's the next guy. So, by saying, oh, you can't beat them if they're healthy. What the hell does that mean about two teams that are never healthy with the players that they currently have? So that whole, if they're healthy, give me a break. Even if they were healthy 2 years ago in the bubble, I'm not sure, dude. Miami was playing with the kind of confidence that they could have won that championship. There's no doubt in my mind they had a shot. So there you go. Now Jakeem Grant is 5'7". I know, but they're rare, is my point. In American sports, it's rare to be short and be successful. In college, in soccer, it is normal to have great players that are short. Excuse me there. Okay. So let's see, what else do we have? Ayo, take a note to bring up to Omar on Friday. Liam was pancaked. He was tripped. I bring this up because he mentioned it. Yeah, well, that was at the moment when it happened. Everybody saw the video where he got tripped up. Big O, also, race car drivers are amazingly short athletes. Well, that doesn't really affect you there. Short or tall, that's better because you weigh less. So a lot of people thought Danica had a little bit of an advantage because she was a girl and she was small and short and, and she skinny. And so she didn't weigh a lot. So that's why, you look at it and it is what it is, man. What are you going to do? Let's see. What else do we have here? Greg Oden. I don't know what that means. Why do you want to talk about Greg Oden? Penis pics? What are we talking about with Greg Oden? Everybody forgets how depleted we were in the second Buffalo game. Yeah. Oh, I really expect the defense to improve and also the O-line to improve this Sunday. The O-line better improve. That's for sure. You know what I do laugh at in a way that people talk about when it comes to the Dolphins and this game on Sunday against the Bills. The immediate thing is, well, the Bills are going to be pissed. They lost. So they're going to be mad and they're going to be riled up. And there's 16 more games. You're pissed for all 17. You're desperate for all 17. You want to win every game possible. It's the NFL. You don't have a lot of room for error. It's a divisional game. It's two teams that play each other twice a year. They hate each other. And do you not think that the Dolphins are not pissed along the O-line that they want to play better? You think Liam Eichenberg, if he gets another opportunity, doesn't want to play better? You don't think Austin Jackson wants to go out there and redeem himself? You don't think Michael Dieter, who actually I don't think had a terrible game, but don't you think he wants to improve? And Solomon Kinley and Robert Hunt and Jesse Davis, they all want to play better. You think Tua is not motivated and frustrated at himself for that interception at the end of the game, and he doesn't want to correct that? You think the defense is going to be happy about giving up, a 100-yard rusher in week one? I must have missed this. I love how we think, that, or some people think, that the Bills are the only professional team on the field, that they're the only ones that are going to want the game badly. Miami's home. They're 1-0. They want to be 2-0 just as bad as the Bills want to get to 1-1. So Miami is going to be just as frustrated and as pissed as Buffalo is. So being pissed or frustrated or whatever happened last week, and listen, if you're going to let that affect you and carry it over to this week, bring it on. That means your mind isn't totally on the game. You're still thinking about what you did there. So Buffalo will be motivated. Of course. It's the NFL. They're a good team. But guess what? You think that the coach that you have here in Brian Flores, after he watches the game film, he somehow walks away going, hey, great job, guys. We're awesome. We're awesome. That's App State. That's what they do. That's what the loser does. Flo, that dude wasn't happy with anything. He's happy with the win, that they got it, but he'll start nitpicking all kinds of stuff on tape. By now, those guys feel like shit. They felt like they lost the game. Hey, we won, great, but no, you effed up here, you screwed up here, you didn't do this, you got to do that. Damn. And they walk out of that room like, holy shit, I played like crap. And maybe he played decent, but he's going to feel like he played like crap. So I love how some people paint the picture that the motivation is going to be all on the Bills side because they lost. Miami didn't get to the playoffs last year. They got to 10 wins and couldn't get into the postseason. Not that they were supposed to be in the postseason or any of that. They had a phenomenal year last year to get to 10 wins. It was just an awesome year. But in their eyes, they always want to win every game. They feel like they belong in the playoffs, those kind of things. That's how, they psych themselves out and try to lift their own confidence so they can go into games and reach those kind of goals. If you don't overshoot for your goals, you'll never get there, man. And that's what they do for a living. But to think that Buffalo is going to be the only motivated team here, I find it cute. It's really cute that you think that. It's kind of like C-Dola, like saying, well, our best athletes don't play. Well, that's not necessarily true. Our best short athletes don't play. Those guys have disappeared. They're becoming lawyers and doctors and garbage men and mailmen and teachers and all the things maybe radio hosts too. But they're not going to soccer making millions. So Miami will be motivated just as much as Buffalo. They lost to those guys last year. A lot of those guys lost to those guys last year. But do you think they want to lose to them again? Do you think they don't remember that they almost had one of them? Hey, man, we almost beat these guys. Come on, let's go. We know we can do it. We just don't. We got to stay away from this, that, whatever it is. Again, this goes back to people thinking it's the same old effing Dolphins. And it's going to take a while here, but they'll keep proving them wrong. But don't tell me that Buffalo's going to be the only motivated team on Sunday. That's a bunch of crap. Marcelo Cambises, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for giving us some love on the Super Chat. Thank you, sir. And by the way, remember, folks, that you can also reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show, YouTube, the chat board there, Yahoo email, Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. Many ways to get in on the program. Haven't heard much about the 2 first downs before time ran out, though. It was impressive. Yeah, running out the clock, that was impressive. Winning there was impressive, man. Just getting the win there in New England, that was absolutely awesome. And like I said earlier, Flo's 3-2 against this guy, and he's beaten him twice in New England. We haven't had a Dolphin coach like that, I don't know, ever. I don't remember a guy that did that to Belichick since Belichick's been there for, 20 years, whatever he's been there. I don't remember anybody doing that to Belichick in a Dolphin uniform. Big O, our Dolphins are going to win. Josh Allen and the Bills are going to come here and play desperate and try to win on his own, and we're going to take full advantage of that and him. He'll look like Jay Cutler against us. That'll be good. I don't have a problem with that. Manning show, you mean college game show? No, Sid. We're talking about Peyton Manning and Eli on last night. What's the weather going to be like Sunday, Big O? Should give us an advantage? I don't know if it's going to rain or not, dude. But either way, the humidity should give Miami an advantage. Buffalo is not used to this kind of humidity. With Nail 66, hey, you should sell that lighted Eiffel Tower behind you to Jeffrey Loria for $6 million. You know that would be a price that my wife would not, because that marks our 25th wedding anniversary. For those of you who don't know the story, I took the wife to to Paris for about 5 days, and we went for our 25th wedding anniversary. And we had dinner at the Eiffel Tower. I had to sneak in a new wedding ring into the Eiffel Tower. And I know some of you are going, what do you mean sneak in? Well, I bought her a brand new wedding ring to replace the old one. And I was giving it to her there at dinner in the thing, and I had to sneak it in, and there's 2 metal detectors. So my wife is short, like a soccer player. And so I had her go first, right? And then I had a coat, and I had it inside the coat. And so she went through, and then I went through, and I put the coat through, and it rang. And so he goes, oh, let me see. And I go, oh, it's probably the zippers or whatever. So I turned around, and my wife is behind me. But since she's short like a soccer player, she can't see over my 6'1" ass. So, and then I just opened the coat, but then I took out the box, and I go, oh, no, it's probably this. And I opened the box, and he goes, oh, okay, go. You're good. No problem. So he was super cool about it. And then there's 2 metal detectors. Okay, so after you go through the first one, then you have to go through another level, and then you get to a second metal detector to get into the Eiffel Tower. And I had to do the same thing. And sure enough, they were really cool about it. It rang, and I just got, no, yeah, it rang over there. It's this zipper. It's a big zipper. And I opened the case again, and I showed him the case. And my wife's behind me. She's kind of like looking at the Eiffel Tower and all that, so she's kind of, her mind's out of it at the moment, right? So I'm like, yes. And I've got it all on film. I put it on Twitter somewhere. It's there from a couple years back. I had the maitre d' film it. So I told my wife, hey, excuse me a minute, I got to go to the bathroom. So I went and got the maitre d', and I gave him my phone, and I said, I need you to film me coming up. I'm going to give my wife a wedding ring. So he filmed it for me. All that's the good stuff. It was great. And I'm telling you guys, if you're married, that might be a way you want to settle, what's it called? Celebrate your wedding anniversary. And dinner at the Eiffel Tower was awesome. We also had dinner on the Seine River during sunset, one of those glass boats, which was really cool because you see all the different, things there. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And so one of the things I did while I was there, I purchased this thing, and I was looking for it because they had smaller ones, but I wanted a bigger one so I can put it in the studio. And, if I'm going to sell this, because my wife loves this thing. At first she was like, damn, are you getting something so big? And then now she watches it every day. When she comes into the studio, she'll check it out and she'll go, that thing is beautiful. She loves it. So if I'm going to sell it, 6 million, like if I sold it for $100, she's going to go, you sold our Eiffel Tower that reminds us of our 25th wedding anniversary for $100. Now, if I sell it for $6 million, then she's going to go, well, I still have the ring. So, but if I sell for a small price, yeah, that's not going to fly, dude. That's not going to fly. Pro Book Picks. Thank you, sir. Giving us love on the super chat. He says, great show as always, Big O. Miami will crush Buffalo on Sunday. Oh, man, I hope so. I'm leaning to picking them, just so you'll know. Right now, the line is the Bills -3. The over and under is 48. Buffalo is -170 on the money line, and Miami is +140 on the money line. I got +160 this week in New England. And you know what? Listen, for many years, when I said, hey, I don't like Philbin, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, some of you were calling me, oh, you're just a hater. And I think a lot of you now have realized he's not hating. He was actually just right that we sucked. And these guys weren't good coaches. And this wasn't a good pick and all that stuff. I would hope some of you have come to your senses over the years and said, damn, I was pissed at O, but he was right. And so I'm a hater then. So now I'm a homer. And you saw Greg Bedard like, hey, what are you getting paid by the Dolphins? So when I think the Dolphins are good, I'm a homer and I'm getting paid by the Dolphins. But if I think the Dolphins are a bad team or they've got a bad coach, I'm a hater. That's the way it goes. I can't be objective. It can't be that it's my opinion. Might be wrong, might be right, but it's just my opinion on what's going on. That's it. Doesn't mean it's law. Doesn't mean it's etched in stone. Doesn't mean this is exactly what's going to happen. No, it's just an opinion. We're wrong and we're right. So I'm leaning to the Dolphins again this week. The Bills are favored by 3 here in Miami. I think Miami can beat the Bills. And then the over and under is plus 140. I'm going to take Miami on the money line. Right now I'm feeling like Miami can win this game. And look, what I love, like Pro Book Pick says, a blowout and crush them. Oh man, I would love that. I wouldn't even be able to contain myself at Sports Grill on Sunday if they rout the crap out of the Bills. That would be just absolutely crazy. But right now, I think Miami, I told you before the season started, did I not say this? I no longer fear any team with this team anymore. I think the Dolphins can beat any team on the schedule. I'm not telling you they will win every game because, come on. Things aren't going to go that way. But I have all the faith in the world in Flo. I have all the faith in the world that they will always play their asses off and find a way to win a game. And they won me over in year 1 in that second half of the season when they went 5-4 with no effing talent, and they won in Foxborough. That's why I didn't mind if Greg Bedard wants to call me a homer and say, well, what are you, drinking the Kool-Aid? What, do you get paid by the Dolphins? It's like, well, dude, I saw them beat the Patriots and Tom Brady right there in their house with no talent. So why wouldn't I be confident last week about the Dolphins going to New England, not facing Brady? Miami should be better. Why shouldn't they be able to win? And they didn't even play a good game. Let me repeat that again. They won, and they didn't play a good game. They played a gritty game. They played a cojones game, a balls game. They made the big plays that the Patriots did not. They forced the fumbles that the Patriots did not. They made the plays, dude. So they won. They won with grittiness, toughness, mental toughness. Were they perfect? Of course not. So why am I going to sit here all of a sudden and say, oh, no, this is a loss? No, I give the Bills their respect. They should win the division. They should. I said it at the beginning of the year. I got the Dolphins number 2. Most people were what were they picking? Patriots 2 and then the Dolphins 3. A lot of people, not me. I got the Dolphins in the playoffs. But you think I'm going to sit here going, oh, I'm really nervous that the Dolphins are going to get killed by the Bills? Hell no, dude. I'm not feeling that. I think the Dolphins have a shot. So right now, as long as there aren't any serious injuries going into this game during the week and across every part of my body, I'm taking the Dolphins plus 3, and I'm going Dolphins in the money line too. I think they're going to win. I really do. Cesar Castro giving us a little love on the super chat. Thank you out there. Says, love your show. Recently found you, and I'm watching from Central Florida, Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach. Okay. That's a nice place. That's where they got the Ron John entrance, right? In Cocoa Beach, right? That's a nice area. I like that place. So thank you, Caesar. I appreciate you. Folks, also, I do remind you, remember you can make the donations through Cash App and Venmo because we get 100% of the donation there to the show here on YouTube, which I appreciate it, but YouTube takes 30%. So I just want to keep reminding folks, you can go to Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show is the address. Cash Big O Show. That'll help us over there also a little more. So I appreciate it. However you do it, thank you. But remember, you can do it through Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's another way to reach out to us and help us here on Le Programme. Let's see, what else do we have here on the show? Troy Francis says, love your show, bro. Tua was the most aggressive QB last weekend. Explain. Oh, it's I think it's the windows of the opera. It's a stat that I know Travis Winfield put it out there, that stat. And let me see if I can find it for you. I got to look for, you know what I'll do? I'll try to find it in a break, but I would imagine it has to do with the windows that he was throwing in, the pressure that he was under. And so he had to make some aggressive throws at times. And he went deep. Nobody talks about that, right? After all the bullshit well, he doesn't throw deep. Bro, did you watch Alabama? The guy last year had a hip injury. He wasn't healthy. He doesn't even know the damn whole playbook. He wasn't comfortable with everything. He was trying to stay away from mistakes if he could. And so he threw deep a couple of times. He threw deep all throughout camp. He threw deep in the preseason. It's all, again, remember we talked about narratives. People spinning whatever the hell they want to spin, however they want to spin it. That's all it is. But he was the fourth most aggressive quarterback in the NFL, not the most aggressive, by the way. Okay? I know I saw that stat, and I want to say Winfield put it up there. I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can find it here for you. Let's see, where are we at here? I'm looking at his tweets here to see if I find it. Oh, I see what he's doing here. This is not good radio for me because let's see, where are we at here? I gotta find it, guys. But I did see that whole stat. The problem with all of that is, and it's not a problem. I don't necessarily lean to a lot of these next gen stats to tell me who a player is. And I see, here's the thing. I don't need to be convinced by people to tell me that Tua can't throw deep when I know he can. I don't need to hear from people that tell me, oh, he doesn't have a strong enough arm. Well, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. He has more than a strong enough arm to do anything he wants to do in the NFL. You don't need to have a gun. Jeff George had a gun and he couldn't win jack shit. Jamarcus Russell had an absolute freaking cannon and was a moron. Ryan Leaf, again, a gun, pea brain. Gun doesn't mean anything, dude. Jameis Winston, gun, 33 interceptions. And that's the problem. Oh, well, no, you got to be tall. A lot of tall, bad quarterbacks. Oh, well, no, he's too short. Well, then what happened to Drew Brees and Russell Wilson? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. Those guys are pretty good, right? They're both Hall of Famers, and they're short. It's narratives. Again, you just try to paint whatever you can, and you have no facts. Zero. Which happens a lot in life, by the way, about certain things that are going on in this world right now. And you got people complaining about it, and they have zero facts. That's the thing. I don't need you to I don't really need necessarily next-gen stats to tell me whether a player can actually get it done. Because as I've said many times, I've been at this for a long time, I can get stats, and I can twist them however you want. I can make them positive. I can make them negative. Depends on how you want to spin it. I look at this, the eye test. I watched the kid. Watched him at Alabama. You can't teach those kind of things that he has. Sadly, he's had the injury stuff. That's been his problem. You tell me injury history, and I'll tell you, can't argue. You tell me short, I'm like, dude, please. Arm, come on. Give me a break. It's about making the right decisions out there. And this week, he did everything except that last decision at the end that He's got to correct that. But how many quarterbacks don't make mistakes and throw interceptions and force something that they're not supposed to force? Like I said yesterday, everybody talks about his interception, but then they don't mention that Mac Jones panicked and threw a ball to the ground that was a fumble early in the game on pressure. Luckily, they were able to recover it. But it was out there, and it was a live ball because he screwed up. I don't need really a next-gen stat to tell me how good this kid is. But apparently, he was the fourth most aggressive quarterback this week in the NFL. Let's see. Steve Young was not the biggest guy as I remember either. I think he was 6'1", but not big. Yeah, well, that's still, that's still a decent height, actually. It's not a bad. Now you're 5'10", that becomes a challenge. But I think Tua, what is he? Like 6 foot, 6.5, 6'1"? He's somewhere around there, right? Troy Francis says, love your show, bro. Tua was one of the most aggressive QBs last weekend. That's right, sir. Jones completed 24 of 29 for 10 yards or less on Sunday. Let's see. I saw Marino do it numerous times. I don't know what are you talking about? What does that mean, Alex? Tua is almost 6'1". Right, exactly. I knew he was between 6'1.5" or 6'1" or something like that. He's fine, bro. It's fine. Not worried about it. Bills have no one at nickel capable of covering Waddle. Very few do, Eric. I live in Western New York, and they're already talking about the problem they face. Yeah, and not a lot of people are going to be able to stay with Waddle as their third corner. In fact, I would not be surprised as Waddle develops. Listen to me now. As Waddle develops, and if he stays in the slot, this is what's going to end up happening. If they have one of their top two corners that actually can play in the slot, they're going to move him in. Guaranteed. That's what will happen. I remember Surtain years ago, there were times where Jimmy wanted to move him inside to cover somebody that was in the slot because Madison's a great corner, Ring of Honor guy, all that good stuff, but he's not a slot guy. He was always a boundary guy. Now, Pat Surtain was really special. He had, his hips, the kid can move to either side. And as you all, I'm not telling anything that most of you don't know, the slot corner has got to have that flexibility to be able to move because you don't know where that slot guy is going because he's got both sides of the field to work with. You know what I mean? When you're on the boundary, you can use the boundary as a defense, and then you can force him to the inside. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different ball game. But in the slot, it's unpredictable what the player is going to do, and you've got to be able to shift to either side to cover the guy. And Surtain would excel at that. So they would move him inside for certain matchups at times in a game, not keep him there permanently, but sometimes if they had somebody that was hurting them in the slot and their slot guy couldn't get it done, they'd move, Surtain in there and he'd help out a little bit at times. I think that will happen for some teams down the line. If Waddle continues to be a factor, which I think he's going to be after watching this week, there's no doubt in my mind that I would not be surprised to see teams move their boundary corner inside, whichever one if they can play the slot. Not everybody can play the slot. Just because you're great outside doesn't mean you can play the slot. If they have one, they will do that. And if if their third corner is weak and not a guy that they can count on, and then they think maybe it'll be easier for him to play on the outside, this week because staying with Waddle will be a challenge, I can see something like that. That's the beauty of having Will Fuller on the field now. And let me tell you something. If you had Will Fuller last week, I think Gesicki becomes a bigger factor in the game. I think I have not looked at the all 22 film. I hope I have some time today because I got a couple of things I have to do after the show, but I hope I have some time today to actually watch it tonight.
I'd like to see what they did and how they took out Gesicki. But I think Gesicki would have been opened up a little bit more if you had Fuller out there, because now the free safety has to worry. Even the strong safety, to a certain extent, has to be really concerned about it, because you just never know what you can do with those two guys out there. Even though the strong safety would probably help more on the Waddle side, but the free safety would have to worry about Will Fuller. And so then all of a sudden now you've got the tight end working more of the middle of the field. And that's where I think things might have changed a little bit more in this game with Will Fuller. This week, you get Will Fuller back, and now you add depth to your tight end spot, because Adam Shaheen will get the opportunity to actually get it done and come back from the COVID treatment. Big O hasn't even played a total of 16 regular. Tua hasn't even played a total of 16 regular season games yet. And also, it takes an athlete well over a year or longer to fully recover from a horrible injury. Be patient. The kid deserves it. I agree. Eric says, if you move Travarius White to the slot to cover Waddle, that leaves either Fuller on a huge mismatch versus the third corner, or the big man Parker. Levi Wallace is not big enough to cover Parker. That's why having Fuller back, it kind of changes the whole game. It really does, man. It really adds something to it. I wasn't so excited like some of you were about Albert Wilson, but Will Fuller is definitely one of those guys that I was excited about, and to get him on here. And I know he's got to be motivated to want to have a great season, because if not, he's not going to make big time money. Big O, if that happens, or when it happens, because Waddle is going to thrive regardless, that will open up Fuller, Parker, and Gesicki. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Gesicki is not going to flourish in this offense. We got too much talent in the slot where Gesicki plays. No, Jeremiah, that's not true. Waddle is not Gesicki. He becomes a big-ass target that you can throw to. And the other thing that you have with Gesicki, he's pretty durable, man. He's been pretty damn durable. I mean, he came back last year from that shoulder injury and made that catch. When he did that, I was like, this guy's a badass. Yeah, I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce, and I'm not saying he's Darren Waller from last night, okay? I'm not telling you that he is one of those three freaks that are in this league, but he is a damn good tight end. And he has been very reliable and a large target that a guy like Tua, it's easier for him to find him through the trees than the smaller receivers that you're talking about. There's a place for Gesicki, my man. There's a big place for it. And there are other teams that have receivers. And hey, the Raiders have a few receivers, and they've got a tight end. When you got a tight end, you use him. And they're going to use Gesicki. So I actually disagree with you. Gesicki can't do anything but catch. Not impressed. All right, Jeremiah, I kind of already got your football IQ. All right, you're in. You're good. Aloha from is it Ua Beach? Ua Beach, Hawaii. Michael Bustamante says, Big O, I found one interesting stat that stands out historically. 2-0 against Belichick. Only rookie to beat Belichick. Your thoughts? What interesting? Oh, only rookie. Oh, you're saying Tua. I'm sorry. Yes, because Tua won last year in his first matchup and now won this time around. He is 2-0 against Belichick. You're right. Right. But he's 2-0, and Flores is 3-2 against Belichick, and 2 wins in 2 wins in Foxborough. So yeah, I'm with you there. Damn. Let me get some water. Oh. Here's another one that I wanted to talk about today, because, again, silly narratives that are created by the media and by fans. Leading into the New England game, Tua is going to have to deal with crowd noise. Remember that one last week? So crowd noise affect Tua? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. I know I'm going to date myself here, but did he look like Ron Jaworski in the Orange Bowl on a Monday Night Football game against Don Shula and ourselves in the stand? Because I was in the stands. I was one of the maniacs screaming and forcing Ron Jaworski to call one timeout after another because he couldn't hear Jack. But I'm sorry, I must have missed it. How'd that crowd noise affect the Dolphins and affect Tua so much? Damn, Tua really struggled with that crowd noise. I heard that last week, and I was laughing my ass off with the kid that's played in the Iron Bowl every year that has 100,000 people. A guy that plays in the SEC where they have bigger stadiums than they do in the NFL, where they have bigger crowds than they do in the NFL, where they're more rowdier than they are in the NFL. But no, crowd noise is going to affect Tua. He's going to have to deal with crowd noise. I laughed at it last week, and I'm still laughing at it now. Crowd noise is going to affect that dude. That he played at Alabama. They have 100,000 people at their stadium in every game. He played at LSU. He played at Auburn. He played at Georgia. You might want to take a moment to kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself talking about crowd noise for Tua. I thought that was freaking hilarious last week. And those that wrote an article or believed it or talked about it and thought and used it like it would affect them, you're looking pretty stupid right now. Crowd noise. I mean, come on, man. How many of you even picked up on the whole? For those of you, it's got to be on YouTube. Monday Night Football, Eagles, Dolphins, Jaworski can't hear. I don't know, put something like that. And that place was a madhouse. I mean, the Orange Bowl, those of us that experienced the Orange Bowl, whether a Canes or a Dolphins game, when it was packed and we were rowdy, that place was loud, man. That place was loud as hell. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. Next Gen Stats has Tua as one of the most aggressive QBs last weekend. I like. Way different than Tannehill. They needed an aggressive Tannehill this past week. They couldn't get it. Let's see. Troy says the Eagles game was in 81, I think. It was a long time ago. I know because I was in the stands. I was a season ticket holder. Well, my dad was a season ticket holder, and I was there with my dad. We were in a box, I remember. And we were always on the visitor side. Our box was on the visitor side. Myles Gaskin got off to a hot start on Sunday. I feel like they got away from him too early. It's hard for me to say that when I haven't seen a track record of the offensive line punishing people and being able to run at will. And I know that last year when they were missing several of their defenders, Miami ran all over them. But right now they had obviously a lot of their guys back. I know some people, you're not the only one, sir, that have said that. And it's an interesting point. But I think until I see a track record that they can do it, and if they got away from it, I got to ask why. I got to wonder why. You know what I mean? And they must have seen something that was going on that they weren't satisfied with overall and why they would stay away from it. DJ Mello says, Big O, where was Omar Kelly's preseason Albert Wilson last week? We need the minicamp legend this week. Yeah. Well, I'll talk to him about that on Friday. Dougie Fresh says, Big O, ESPN's power ranking has 4 teams who lost their first game ranked ahead of us. You said it right. We go to the playoffs first, and then comes the respect. Still sucks, though. Yeah, you got to earn it, man. It's only one season. They think it's an aberration what went on last year. No, most people. Well, no, let me see. I was going to say most people outside of the Dolphin circle, but we have our own Dolphin fans that are still not believing in the team. Okay, because I have one of my buddies who is a monster Dolphins fan. It's like, no, man, I don't know. I'm not convinced yet. So we're in that phase right now as a society that, like, we doubt everything. Lenny Pena says, I have a couple of my boys calling Tua tuna fish and how bad of a QB he is, how Herbert passes the eye test, and that's the guy the Dolphins should have drafted. They're going to eat their words. Well, I mean, listen, when he wins on the road, when he can have big time quality wins, then we'll talk. We'll see. Now that Shaheen had COVID, he doesn't need the vaccine because his antibodies are stronger than the vaccine. Dude, I'm not a doctor, and I know that the antibodies last for a while, but it's only a couple of months. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter. He's an anti-vaxxer. So they better work for him. That's all I can say. There's nothing else you can say. I hope he doesn't get it again. I mean, look at Cedric Ceballos. The guy's all effed up right now after COVID. So it'll be up to him. I don't know, man. I can't tell you how long antibodies are going to last because I would imagine we're all different. So it might last 4 months for you. It might last 3 months for somebody else. It might last 2 months for someone, and maybe it lasts 6 months for others. That's the whole thing about all of this. It's medicine, man. None of that is ever perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. There are too many variables that they cannot actually include because we really don't know, when it comes to DNA, how it affects one person more than another, how it affects one race more than another, how it affects one sex more than another. Sometimes that's like a really hard thing for us to figure out. I just hope for his sake, since he's not vaccinated, that he doesn't get it ever again. Hopefully nothing happens to him, just like this time around. But obviously if you don't vax, you open yourself up to possibly something serious happening overall. Don't forget, you can reach out to us on email at bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. On the YouTube channel, as always, it's there. Twitter, Big O Show. Cash App or Venmo, always appreciate the support there. Cash Big O Show is the address on Cash App or Venmo. That's Cash Big O Show is the address. Now, let me talk a little bit about the offensive line because that's become a little bit, well, obviously it's a major subject, but let me talk about the left tackle specifically right now. And I know that they asked Flo yesterday, I believe it was Barry Jackson, is Austin Jackson still your starter? And he said yes. And I want to run a couple of things by you so we can look at the big picture and not the micro. Because when you think micro, you're going, okay, well, wait a minute. Did Eichenberg do good enough? Haven't been happy with Jackson. Should they compete for the job? Should it be Eichenberg's job? All of this stuff. Let's go big picture now. Come with me on this trip where we go into the offensive line and we're going to talk about big picture and we're going to talk about what the reality could be really for the Miami Dolphins. Okay, first of all, Austin Jackson, natural left tackle. We all know that. He's more experienced right now than Eichenberg, so probably better suited to be the everyday left tackle. But in a perfect world, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at it the way it's supposed to be looked at. What really should be happening is perfect world, everything, okay? I'm just saying, I'm talking about perfect world. I've already told you what the reality is. You're not going to hit on Eichenberg, Jackson, Dieter, Hunt, and Kinley. You're not doing that. We've talked about this already several times. There's no way Chris Greer drafted 5 linemen and he hits on all 5. I would love to see that. I would love to be wrong since I'm telling you there's no way, right? Because actually there is, a little slight hope. But it's not normal to hit on all your draft picks. So you figure 2 to 3 of these guys are going to fail, right? Best case scenario, 1 guy. All right. So let me go to best case scenario right now, okay? Because the worst case scenario, we can talk about it when it gets here. But let's talk about the best case scenario. Best case scenario is that Austin Jackson gets back to being the left tackle. And the best case scenario is that you move Eichenberg back to right tackle. And I know Jesse Davis is starting, and I like Jesse Davis a lot, okay? I don't have the love affair that Omar Kelly has with him. I like him, and I love him as a 6th man. I've said this over and over and over and over again, which is no shame. Mama and daddies, let your babies grow up to be 6th offensive linemen, and they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to retire really well, and their families will be well taken care of, okay? If you're the 6th man in the NFL at the offensive line, you're pretty valuable. So Jesse Davis has a value. But in a perfect world, it's myopic. It is short-sighted to start thinking, no, let's put Eichenberg and Austin Jackson to compete. No, dude. Let's hope Austin Jackson takes over the left tackle spot, and then Eichenberg moves over to right and takes over that spot from Jesse Davis. And then Jesse Davis, who is banged up a little bit, gets to rest, gets to recuperate, gets to get healthy, and waits for his opportunity to fill in for one of the 5 guys if they get hurt, or 4 out of the 5, since I think he plays 4 out of the 5 positions. And then in the end, you've got a left-handed quarterback in Tua. So if Eichenberg might be the better offensive player, you put him there at right tackle, and he's protecting Tua's blind side. So the more realistic, or not realistic, the perfect picture to look at is that Austin stays there at left, and that Eichenberg gets over to the right side to compete with Jackson, or eventually just take over for Jackson. That's what I would like to see. Do you think the Finns can run against the Bills? It will open up Tua's passing game, confidence, and rhythm. Yes, I do. I think they can have some success. Dominate? No. Excuse me. There's no doubt I think they can have success, but I don't think they're going to end up dominating. That I would love to see that, but they don't really need to dominate. They need to keep them off balance and have some success. All right, let's do this. Let me take a quick break. We'll come back. Hour number 3 is next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right, we are back and ready for our number 3 of the program. Appreciate all of you, as always, keeping it locked here and supporting the show. Nice job by the Raiders surviving. I thought Gruden said, what is it? He died. He woke up and then he died again in the game. That was actually good. Marlins, they defeat the Nationals 3-0. They're 61-83. Tonight, 7:05, Nationals and Marlins. Jesus Luzardo taking on Eric Fetty. And 7:05 first pitch. And Inter Miami, the red hot Inter Miami in action tonight. They are at Red Bull Arena taking on Toronto. Looking forward to that game. I won't be watching Marlins. I will be watching Inter right now at this point. I mean, come on, give me a break. Although I got to give Inter credit. I told you guys this a couple of months ago, that Inter Miami and the Miami Marlins have to turn it up, because once football starts, they're going to lose any kind of attention they possibly could have gotten. Sure, there's a group of hardcore soccer fans like myself that we're going to watch and we're going to support no matter what. And it really doesn't collide with a Dolphins football game. It's normally not on at the same time anyway. Most soccer games are on Saturdays. You know, once in a while you'll have one like this on a Tuesday, maybe once or twice a year, a Wednesday a couple times, maybe a Friday too a couple times, but really not a lot of there is like one or two Sunday games, but I think they're usually before the NFL season starts more often than not. So Miami, Inter, and the Marlins had the summer to themselves, and they had to make themselves interesting. You got to give a lot of props to Inter Miami for making themselves interesting now, because of the run that they've gone on, which, by the way, I did not see this run coming, because they've beaten even good teams. And of course, they've taken care of the teams that are at the bottom of the table, and they've beaten some of those and picked up either wins or on their worst nights, they're getting a draw and still picking up a point. They've been pretty phenomenal as of late. Kudos to them to try to make themselves relevant here in September and in October as we head down the stretch of the MLS season. So nice job by Inter Miami. Can the Marlins make themselves relevant? We're going to find out this offseason, because if they don't make any real moves, they will not be relevant again. And, you really have to question if they have any commitment to winning at that point too. That's the sad part. All right, so I just wanted to get that in there. And speaking of soccer, any of you guys watch Ted Lasso? So Lasso and company, they got renewed for another season. And I watched Ted Lasso. I think it's a fantastic show.
It is well written, and Jason Sudeikis is what's it called? Also, not only the lead actor, but he's also the writer for it. And so now he got a monster raise, dude. Ted Lasso, sources say, has already closed the deal for the season 3 that will pay him, listen to this, in the vicinity of $1 million per episode. The sum also includes creator fees and compensation for his role as the show's head writer and executive producer. The deal also covers the 2 extra episodes of the current sophomore season, is up from $250,000 to $300,000 per episode that he earned during season 1 and season 2. Now, the other thing that also is Rebecca, which is the tall blonde, what's it called? Keeley and Hunt. All 3 got raises too, from 125 to 150 that they were getting per episode. From 50 to 75,000 to 125 to 150,000 per episode too, which is pretty good money still, right? I mean, I know it's not a long season. I think they're 12 episode season. I think we just finished episode 8 last Friday. And because I watch it with my wife either Friday nights or Saturday nights. We watch Ted Lasso, one of the two, depending on what's going on in the sports calendar. Then we watch a little Ted Lasso. I don't know if any of you out there watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV, but I suggest you do. It's really, really good. Really, really good. And let me tell you something. Kudos to Hannah Waddingham. I'm not sure how, let me see. I'll just look it up. I'm not sure how old she is, because it looks like she's wow. I did not know that. Okay. All right. She's 47. I thought she was actually a little older. Sorry. I thought. Anybody watch Ted Lasso? The owner, the tall blonde? Did you think she was 47 or maybe a little older? I thought she was a little older. Tall drink of water, I'll tell you that. There's some dangerous curves on that woman. That's for damn sure. But I guess it's kind of an insult, and I'm sorry. I thought she was a little older. I was going to say that she looks pretty good for being an older lady, and 47 is, God, I didn't know. What is it? Waddle's presence is making DVP look like Terrell Owens. He looked good this week, man. Parker looked good. He looked comfortable. He looked healthy. And I think one of the best things for Devontae Parker is that there are other guys out there now. One, he doesn't become the obvious target. Two, it lights a little fire in his ass because now he's going to have to compete for playing time with Waddle, with Fuller now coming back, and Gesicki. So when Tua drops back now, it's not like he's dependent on Parker. And having Parker healthy also helps in this, ladies and gentlemen, which is what a lot of people will not look at. This gives Preston Williams more time to recover. I do not want to see Miami rush this kid back. I've told you this many times. Now you got Fuller back. You got Waddle playing. You got Gesicki playing. You're getting Shaheen back. And you got Parker. You don't need Parker and Preston Williams on the field at the same time right now. You don't. You only need one of them on the field at this moment because they're kind of the same guy. But the speed is something you cannot take off the field. But once Preston Williams also is able to come back, those of you that had a love affair with Albert Wilson, you're going to be a little disappointed because if Albert Wilson played the way he played this past week, he'll be phased out. Okay? And traded or cut probably when it's all said and done. Let's see. What else do we have here? Gesicki was invisible on Sunday. I have to wonder if the guy was Belichick focused on. Of course he was. Of course he was. That's exactly what they did.
you're not really going to be able to shut down Jalen Waddle. You know that, right? That's where all this stuff gets crazy. How many corners do you think in the NFL are going to be able to play in the slot and shut down Jalen Waddle? It's going to be almost impossible. The kind of speed that kid has, it's just rare in the NFL. So you're going to have to double him, but you can't because now you've got Fuller on the field and you got Gesicki on the field and you got Parker on the field. And going back to the earlier point that I was saying, having Waddle and Fuller on the field and Gesicki doesn't mean Parker's facing the number one corner more often than not. And if the number one corner wants to take care of Parker, even better. But it's going to be rare that Waddle's going to face the number one corner playing from the slot, which is another advantageous position for the Miami Dolphins because they didn't put him on the outside where the teams could easily line up their number one. And if you have Fuller burning people, oh man, that just makes everything that much tougher for defenses. I think Miami's offense is going to be a lot better this week. I really do. I respect the Bills, but I guess I have more respect also for the Dolphins than most people do. And with Waddle on the field, that's going to open it up for everybody. It opens it up for Parker. It makes his life a little easier. It lights a fire under his ass. It's a lot of good things coming, and that's you're 1-0. Now you're home. You got a shot against a divisional opponent. You're going to get 2 more weapons added to your offense. I just think it kind of sets everything up for a pretty good day overall. Thomas Jensen says if Preston can stay healthy, better blocker for bubble screens and outside running plays also. I just want, man, if he stays healthy, it's just a player that really adds a lot to this team. Andy Rivas says, you guys think real high of Williams. All he does is get hurt and drop passes. The drop passes have been an issue. I don't blame him for the injury. Obviously, you're new here, Andy, and you haven't listened to the show a lot. I think his second injury comes from his first injury. Overcompensating, they brought him back too soon. So I'm not going to call the kid injury prone yet. I think it's too early to do that to him. But the drops, can't argue with you. He does have a little problem with drops. That has been a bit of an issue here. He's got to do a better job of hanging on to the football, but his talent cannot be questioned. His upside is there. It's obvious. And if he can just fix that, he'll be all right. Oh, did you know Susie Culver is 57? She looks pretty good, don't you think? Well, I know because she was down here. So, yes, I know because I know she's around my age. I'm 54. I'll be 55. I'll be 55 in 16 days, 17 days, October 1st. I can't drive 55. I'll be Sammy Hagar. Okay. The orange rocker for the Dolphins. So, yes, I'm, buddy of mine that's down here in the media used to go out with her. Not going to mention any names. But yes, I know because I know she's from my era. So, yes, I knew that she was, and she looks great, by the way. She looks fantastic for 57. Okay? She looks awesome. I gotta be honest. I was a little taken aback by Hannah. Wow. I don't know if they do that on purpose on the show and they make her look a little, because, you see pictures of her blonde now and she looks completely different. So I don't know if they're kind of making her look, a little bit more mature. But I was certain she was in her 50s. When I saw 47, I was like, wow, man, holy crap. And she's still good looking and got one hell of a body. I'll give you that. I can't tell you what she did this past week because I don't want to ruin it for you all, but you should watch Ted Lasso. It's actually a really good show. Well written, man. It tugs at your emotions. Put it that way. Really good. Ray Varnekes says, at what time do we default to the top free agent O-lineman? I agree we build through the draft, but in your model, Big O, 2 or 3 of these guys fail. Well, Ray, can we wait till they fail?
Why are you so? Why are you? Are you the guy that's thinking about divorce when you get married? I'm just wondering, Ray. Like, why are we talking about failure yet? Let's wait. I thought Dieter played all right this week. I thought Hunt played all right this week, actually. I got to look at the tape, but from what I saw, now, were there struggles? Hell yeah, there were struggles. But they're all young, man. I can't blame these young guys for having their ups and downs. You won the damn game. Even with a struggling line and a young line, you found a way to win 10 games last year. I don't give up on young players right away. Unless I saw the guy in college and I don't think he can play in college, and then they drafted him or whatever. If that's the only way you would hear me say something about a young player, like, no, Yatil Green. Yatil Green. Yatil Green. I tore Jimmy an ass. I tore him a new hole when he drafted Yatil Green. Tore him up. Because he sat there in the press conference. Well, no more pulled hamstrings and this, that. And I'm like, dude, did you watch him in college? Because I covered him in college. I was covering a lot of the UM beat in those days. And I would be right on the sidelines. And back in those days, I could go down to the sidelines at any time and be down there for all 4 quarters. It wasn't like the NFL the last 6 minutes. No. The Syracuse McNabb game, the entire time I was on the field. The entire time. They used to allow the media back in those days on the field all the time. I mean, let me tell you something. I was very fortunate that the first part of my career, when I was a beat guy and I was covering teams, I had a hell of a lot more access than they have now. I mean, they don't got jack shit now. And especially with pandemic, even worse. But I had a ton of access. So I watched Yatil Green's ass, and he's a great young man, by the way. You still owe me money, Yatil, by the way. Yeah, we bet. We made a bet, and he lost. And he owes me money. He bet, I think it was Northwestern, and he went to Plant City, if I'm correct, was his high school. And he tried to tell me, oh, Plant City's a bomb, and I tried to tell him, yo, man, you don't compare South Florida football to anything out there. And I believe it was Northwestern playing Plant City years ago. And we made the bet, and I beat him. I was a beat guy. He was a player. Okay? So reporter and player making bets, which is not the first time. Trace Armstrong, you owe me money too. UM Florida. And he owes me a lot of money. Anyway, so these guys, well, especially Yatil, they still owe me the money. That's fine, because I know their asses would have tried to collect from me. That's all I know, but whatever. It's fine. I love betting with athletes. I do. Oh, God. I usually can smoke every single athlete in the world on sports because they play with their hearts. That's why most of them probably suck at gambling. Anyway, so bottom line is Yatil Green would come off the field with the pull hamstring, a twisted ankle, a calf, whatever it was. The guy was too fragile. And that was at the college level. And it was hard for him to finish games. He was always getting – I would stand there on the sidelines and watch him come off every other play with something tweaked. And then Jimmy drafts him. And Jimmy won, all this stuff. And, he's going to be a great receiver for us. And then he turns to him, no more pulled hamstrings, this, that, and that. And I'm sitting there laughing my ass off inside because I'm in the press conference, so I can't laugh out loud. But I ripped him on draft day, which is how sometimes Dolphins hate me. There are some Dolphins that are going to hate me because I'm going to be brutally honest at times, good or bad. And I ripped Jimmy for that pick. Never gave Yatil Green a chance. I never gave him a chance because I saw 15 injuries at UM. And I said, this guy can't hold up. Look, more often than not, if you and I played football, we would be Yatil Green. We would break down left and right. It takes a special athlete to actually stay healthy in football, right? That whole thing, your biggest talent is availability, right? Is that whatever the saying goes? That guy was never available. And I tore Jimmy up, dude. Tore him up. Because I knew it was a stupid ass pick. I like the kid. Nice kid, but couldn't hold up. So those are the moments where you'll see me that maybe I won't give a young guy a chance. But I gave you a reason why. Because I personally watched the guy break down all the time on the sidelines. I do miss those days. I will say I miss the days when I was a beat guy that I had access. And I got to people and I was able to talk to them and meet with them and whatever and all that stuff. It's obviously a lot harder for media members now than it used to be. But those are the moments. More often than not, I will be patient with young people and give them an opportunity because they deserve that opportunity. It's got to be special cases that you draft somebody and I have some information on it from somebody else or whatever, those kind of things. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, who do you think? Herman says, oh, why do you think that changed before the pandemic, the media availability? Paranoia, my brother. That's all it is. With Jimmy, with Shula and Jimmy, well, not as wait a minute. I don't know if I was able to go around the fields with Shula, but with Jimmy used to allow us to be all around the practice field. Not you know how they're stuck in the stands now. I used to be able to walk both fields. On the outside, the periphery, you couldn't walk in between the two fields, but you could walk the whole square around both fields. And so if they were doing one-on-ones in one area, I'd go over there and see it, and then I'd come back and see the teams and then the 7-on-7s or whatever that, and I could stand right there 10, 20 feet away from some of this stuff going on. So I could see what was going on. I could hear them talk about it. I could, many times I heard a coach ripping into a player or whatever, or a player snapping back at a coach or all that kind of stuff. Not that we reported that kind of stuff because that's kind of the professional courtesy that you gave them while they give you the access. But it was, it allowed you to really cover the team and give it. And then Wanstead took over and we had the same access. But as his tenure got worse and the controversy built, he started to limit more access. And then the other coaches picked up from that. And then other coaches around the league also started limiting access. And now you're down. I don't even know if there's any more press groups that are allowed to watch practice now. Because you used to be able to watch practice back in the day. And they would tell you, okay, you can't report anything you see. Because you're watching legitimate, like, game planning practice. But at least you got a feel for the team and you knew everything. And then you can use the context when you are writing your story or talking about the team like I was back in the day. But it's pure paranoia, man. It's pure paranoia that they think somebody else is going to get the information, that the media will leak it to somebody else or something like that, and it could happen. And there were times where a media member slipped and said something about practice, and then that media member would be, kicked out for a couple of weeks or a month or a season if it was a habitual thing, something like that. And then that media member could no longer cover practice, and then that outlet would have to decide, do we keep him on the beat or not? Do we move him to another beat and then we put somebody else there? That kind of stuff. So it's mostly paranoia why people or coaches are now giving very little to no access to the media at this point in time. Yeah. I know these guys that all write, they're hurting right now that they don't have those locker room moments where they can get one-on-ones. Because I took advantage of that all the effing time when I was a media guy, and when I was a beat guy, that is. And I would go into locker rooms, then I could find guys, I could go corner them and talk to them by myself and get some information from them. Something you can't do now. You have no shot unless you have the guy's cell phone, and then you can talk to him outside of the building. Big O, I know you're high on Preston Williams and what he brings to the field, but with this healing time the team is giving him, if he gets injured again, even after the extra time, you still high on him? No. I'm not big on injury-prone players, as you can tell with the story I just told you about Yateel Green. I give up on injury-prone players. I do. But I'm not calling him injury-prone yet because the second injury, I truly believe, came from the first injury and overcompensation. So when he comes back, if he stays healthy, that's fine. Now, he has to, as Mr. Rivas pointed out earlier, he does have to eliminate the drops also. But physically, what I see there, the athlete I see there, oh, dude, I like this player, man. I like this player. This guy has the capabilities of being a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. He is super gifted. He really is. But now he's got to stay healthy, and he's got to catch the football on a consistent basis. But yeah, that I think if he comes back now, healthy, in which they're taking the time. Yeah, I can't have another injury with Preston Williams. Then at that point, you got to cut him. Is what I feel you got to do. I remember Jimmy Johnson passing on Randy Moss and telling everybody that Larry Shannon will be better. All right, listen, we laughed at him with the whole Larry Shannon thing. We laughed at him. Remember how this went, by the way, okay? First of all, he had the pick for Randy Shannon. I want to say, man, I'm going off memory here, okay? I want to say the Dolphins were 19th. And then Green Bay was 21, right? So they traded back to 21, right? And then I think the Cowboys, they went and picked Vonnie Holiday. And I believe the Cowboys then picked Randy Moss. I think that's how it went. And then at 21, then they traded down again to like 27 or 28 or something like that. And they picked John Avery. So Jimmy then is asked about, well, would you have picked Randy Moss if you stayed there? He said, no, I would have picked Vonnie Holiday. Now, Vonnie Holiday did end up being a really good player and well worth that pick. He had a hell of a career. He ended up playing for the Dolphins eventually, remember? And quality individual, a super pro, a terrific player overall. Vonnie Holiday had a really good career, well worth the pick. Okay? Fine. He then drafts in that same draft Larry Shannon in the 3rd round. And again, just to correct you a little bit, okay? When we pressed him on multiple things, Randy Moss, no. If I would have stayed there, I would have taken Vonnie Holiday. You guys can look at the order or whatever. I'm pretty close to what it was. And then John Avery, which I'll give you a John Avery story in a minute. And then we asked him about Larry Shannon. And he says, hey, Larry Shannon will be as good as Randy Moss. Okay? I'm not the biggest fan of Jimmy, the Dolphins coach. All right? I really am not. I'm not that impressed with what he did. I'm really pissed off at the way he handled the Marino situation. I hated how he handled the 62-7 loss. It was gutless as hell. There's a lot of shit that I don't forgive Jimmy Johnson for in his tenure. I know he got the defensive players. I get all of that, but he did a lot of stuff that I was not happy with, to be honest with you. He did a lot of stupid shit too. Trading for Jim Druckenmiller and drafting John Dutton and Jarris McFailure. And I mean, he was just a disaster on offense. So Jimmy compounded the problem there. He was so hard-headed, no, I wouldn't have drafted Randy Moss. I would have drafted Vonnie Holiday if I stayed with that pick. I wasn't picking Randy Moss. I was picking Vonnie Holiday. And then he takes John Avery at the back end of the first round. And then he tells us the thing about Larry Shannon. John Avery, by the way, really good kid, okay? Jeremiah says, I love Jimmy. He got a Zach and JT. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so John Avery. John Avery was a guy that, let's just say, he wasn't a pro's pro. Nice kid, kind of a goof, wasn't really a professional, wasn't really dedicated to his craft the way he should have been. Just an athlete and a guy that could, you could use on special teams, that kind of stuff. And I think that's, Jimmy wanted that lightning guy on special teams. So this guy had a tendency of falling asleep in meetings. So every practice every day before practice, before meetings, excuse me. So they would have the practice. They would come into the locker rooms. We would interview the players. We would be in the locker rooms for 45 minutes. When the 45 minutes were done, the players then went to their meetings. Okay. At that moment, that's when John Avery had to then fight off sleep, kind of like what I was doing right now. Had to fight off sleep. And part of fighting off that sleep, you know what he did? He had Kool-Aid in his locker room. And he had like 9 different flavors of Kool-Aid. So he would get a big old jug, a glass that was like a giant big gulp cup. It wasn't a big gulp, but it was just a big ass plastic cup that he had. And he loaded up, dude, with the punch of the whatever Hawaiian punch of the day flavor that he was going to use and some sugar. And then he goes, this is what keeps me up during the meetings. So there's your John Avery pick and your lack of professionalism while he was here with the Miami Dolphins. Let's see. Jimmy didn't get to build the offense like he wanted to because we had an aging Marino. That wasn't his fault. Jeremiah, bro, listen. Yeah, like got out. All right. Let me see. What else do we have here? I'm just there. You get to a point where you just like, when the comments are just really like baseless, empty, and they got no substance, you just got to forget about them and just move on, bro. Let's see. What else do we have here? Rafael Tua not getting benched unless all this goes terribly wrong. Why are we benching Tua now? I don't even know what it is. Big O, I got my eye on Solana coin. You in? No, dude. No, not at all. You never buy anything on Parabolic, bro. Let me teach you guys something about crypto. Okay? If you didn't get Solana a month ago, month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when it was at $40, you don't buy it at 170, bro. You don't buy it at 160 and 180 and 200. Are you crazy? It doesn't make any sense. I wish you luck. Any of you that bought Solana, that's fine. Never buy a stock. And I don't play the stock market anymore, but I think that most people would agree with me on this. Here, I see Tremolio there. He's a stock guy. Never buy a stock, and you never buy a coin on a parabolic move. Ever. Never. You don't do it. 99% of the time, you're going to get screwed. Solana made its run. I don't know how much more is left. Maybe there's more. Maybe it triples from here. I'm not sure. But you don't buy Cardano now at $2.46, at $3 or whatever. You had to buy it when it was at $1, $1.50, $1.60, at 90 cents, at 70 cents. That's when you had to buy it. Once something goes parabolic, you are now risking loss at that point, because with every parabolic move, there's a correction. Always. Like 99% of the time. Okay? I'm telling you, because I do this all the time. I play it every day. I watch this market every day. Never, ever buy anything when it's parabolic. Ever. It's just not worth it. This is why they tell you that when it's running like that is when you sell. When it's bleeding and everything's going down, that's when you buy. That's why I told you for several months, right? A couple months ago, I told you during the consolidation period, I told you take advantage, buy the effing dip. And if you would have bought Ethereum at 17, 18, 1900, 2000, 2100, well, guess what? You're making a boatload of money right now. If you would have bought Cardano when I told you 90 cents and $1 and $1.10 or $1.20, it's at 250 and it's gone up to 3 and it's going to go higher. Now you're riding high. If you bought VeChain when I told you in the recent dip or the one before, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cents, well, guess what? It's now at 13. It's gone up to 17. I told you about Crow. It was down to 12 and 11 cents. It's been up to 17. It was up at 20. You understand? You do not buy anything when it's gone parabolic. It just does not make sense. It sets you up for failure. The people that bought Bitcoin at 60 and 65, they're still losing money. Now, they'll make their money eventually. Bitcoin will get back over 60 and 65, and they'll get to 70 and 80 and 100. I truly believe that. I have no doubt in that. But if you bought it parabolic at 60 and 65, which I know people that did, guess what they ended up doing? Panicking and selling it at 38 and 42 and 45, and they lost their ass. Because that, if you're not willing, now let me see, Dola, here's the best advice I could give you. If you bought something parabolic, you know what you need to do now? Put it away and hold on forever now, because it's going to come back. And now you're going to have to wait, like the people that bought it at 60 and 65 for Bitcoin. They will have to, if you're smart, you take your lumps, you wait patiently, you let it sit there and let it come back eventually. That's what you do. Please. Never, I'm not a financial advisor, okay? But I'm just telling you, at least the way I do things, never buy anything parabolic. Ever. When you FOMO in, you're done. And if you FOMO in, then you better be committed to the long term of that coin or that stock. Always. Trust me. I'm telling you. That is 100%. Look, Tremolio says, never chase upside. Correct. Never. It's the worst thing that you can do. It's the problem is most people don't follow this shit. You know, hey, by the way, some of you know that Solana is not even really truly decentralized. I'm just saying. You know, that's the reason why I've never invested in Solana. While it's a hell of a blockchain and people are building stuff on it, it's not truly decentralized. And that's something that concerns me, kind of like Internet Computer ICP is another one that they want to become the internet of the blockchain, but their nodes are not decentralized. They run the nodes. So no, dude, I don't want that. No. That's not what DeFi is about, man. So be careful. Do your homework. Read. I'm just saying, if you're going to get into this, this is not for the weak of heart. Oh, damn, I'm sorry. Let's go. All right, let's talk a little Canes with Manny Navarro next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
I apologize, Manny. I get passionate about crypto, man. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man.
I was looking out for people, bro. Just never buy parabolic. That's all I'm telling you. Never buy anything on its way up. You're not a crypto guy anyways, right? You're not in a crypto or stock, are
No,
you?
no. I got my stocks from The Athletic that I have investments in, but I don't even pay attention to it, man. Somebody else handles that for me.
Oh, that's right. You are big time. So yes, yeah. You got the peoples working for you. I got you. So Manny, how is we'll have you on Friday and we can talk Michigan State. Now I want to recap what's gone on outside of the cat, of course, which was the highlight. How close were you to the cat, by the way?
Well, I went down there and I saw the cat piss that was all over the poor people in Section 207. I mean, they were covered in it. A very underreported part of the story.
Let me ask you something. If you were dangling from the second floor, wouldn't you be peeing in your pants too, right?
There'd be more than pee in my pants, Big O.
Yes, there's no doubt. So how close were you to that craziness?
I went down there at halftime and I talked to everybody who was sort of involved and saw the whole thing take place. So I was there to witness it and saw the videos and people sent me extra video. Everybody had an angle of this thing. So I got about 40 different versions of the video of the cat dangling. So
yeah, our boy Hollywood over at QAM was he went viral with his video too. So that's good for him. I hope he made some money off of it if he's smart. Actually, because I had one of those too, and I made a few bucks, So it was.
Yeah,
you got to
do the right thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a lady go absolutely ape shit on a JetBlue plane, and I was sitting on the opposite row of her, but right on her aisle, And so I had my camera, and I just had it rolling the entire time. In fact, A&E had my video a couple weeks ago on that whole series that they do of people going crazy. The lady on JetBlue that went crazy. That's yours truly. That's my video there. It says Big O Show on it, actually. So yeah.
That's neat.
It's yeah. I had several outlets, and I told them, there's a price. So pay me. Give me some money. I hope Danny made a little cash from all of that. All right, let's start with the offense, dude, because the shine is coming off of Rhett Lashley a little bit here in the first couple of games, and maybe we all made the mistake of, oh my God, Mark Rick is there, but Manny's this up and coming coach. We got to make sure we keep him, and then he left the Temple, and then we got to bring him back, and it hasn't been impressive. And listen, I am your left tackle on this. I always give you credit when I say it. I want a guy that's experienced and knows how to build programs in this place. That's what I want. So the shine now has fallen off of Rhett Lashley, where people say, well, you get rid of Manny and you keep Rhett Lashley. Well, last 2 weeks, what's going on with the offense?
Well, I think they're being out schemed, right? I think what you saw Appalachian State do in the second half was like, well, De'Aaron King's not going to beat us deep, right? We're going to drop 8 guys. And what was De'Aaron King forced to do? Run. And that's not good enough to get in the end zone. Miami needs its receivers down the middle of the field. They need Will Mallory to be involved. They need Charleston Rambo to beat guys deep. They need Keyshawn Smith to be effective in the passing game. And more than anything, they really miss Mike Harley right now. Second half 2020, Mike Harley, the guy who put up a bunch of great numbers, he's kind of reverted back to the guy we saw the first 3.5 years at Miami, right? Dropping passes, being inconsistent. So to me, right now, they're being out schemed. They're being out coached on the offensive side. And I think they're also being let down by some guys in their offensive line that are veterans, guys that, have over 30 starts. They're starting right guard, Devon Donaldson, right? The guy who's always battled weight issues. The guy who, before he injured his knee, was losing playing time to guys behind him, younger guys behind him, because he wasn't in good shape. He couldn't last very long. Well, him and DJ Scaife, to me, both of those guys, they look like they're going to be on the bench this week against Michigan State. And, Garen Justice trusted those guys coming out of camp. And now he's having to hit the reset button and say, you know what? I got to put other guys in the field because when the lights come on, you're not showing up.
Yeah, and see, that's why all this talk about the 19 of 22 starters coming back and all the experience, but you were bringing back mediocre in the end, and the line has been mediocre. And so to talk about all this, experience and everything else, and here's the other thing, not enough guys have developed under Manny here in into his third year. That's my other problem. You have a couple guys that have improved, but you need I watched the guy in Davie, and he's got several guys that are improving from year to year. His teams play their worst football at the beginning of the year, and they get better as the year goes on, which is what you're supposed to do, obviously. We don't see that with these guys. And with the offensive line, so then are we going to see guys that are younger now? Is that what it is? And now we're going to have a lack of experience that's going to be out there on the line.
Well, I mean, look, Garen spoke to us today, Garen Justice, the offensive line coach, and he was pretty adamant that the best offensive lineman they've had has been Jalen Rivers. That's the second-year freshman that they just got, and he's the starting left guard, and he's the only guy really in his mind that's playing to a standard. Even Zion Nelson, you could sort of blame a little bit on the fact that he was hurt, right? And he missed some of training camp and he's just kind of getting the rust off. He hasn't been horrendous. The side where if you watch the game and you say, well, where are teams getting pressure on De'Aaron? Where are guys not picking up their blocks and blocking well? It's been the right side. It's been Navon Donaldson and DJ Scaife. Well, they benched Scaife for this last game against App State, and now it looks like they're going to bench Donaldson, and you're going to end up seeing Justice Oluwaseun, the kid who, by the way, Garen went into the transfer portal to get because he knew, hey, these guys might let me down, right? He went in, he got him, he's going to push him inside and put Jared Williams back out to right tackle. And I think, look, as a coach, all you can do is coach guys up. In the end, it's on them when they get on the field, Orlando, to take care of the job and to do what they're supposed to do. And that's why, it's interesting. We can sit here and shit on the coaches and say, hey, they're not getting these guys ready, or, hey, they recruited them. It's their fault. They should be. I think in some respects, we do have to recognize that at least on the offensive side of the ball, these are new coaches who are recruiting players. They inherited a lot of the old guys who lost to FIU and to Louisiana Tech and to Duke. And while you try your damnedest to coach those guys up, I think it's become pretty obvious that these cats don't change their stripes, man. They're the same cats we saw lose to FIU. And so, you got to throw fresh blood in there. And my understanding was Jared Williams didn't have a very good camp. DJ Scaife really played better in camp. But, obviously now after 2 games, they're making the adjustment. We'll see if Jared Williams can rise to the occasion and make these guys look better. But, it's hard to get offensive linemen to play as freshmen and sophomores and get them to play well first and second year. The only guy right now who they got in the last 2 years who's playing is Jalen Rivers. And we'll see how these other guys come along in the years to come. But it's obvious that they're average. If Jalen Rivers has come in, this is his second start, and he's already the best offensive lineman they got.
It's crazy. Manny, did they lose their best running back this week? I think you said it a couple of times that you thought he was the best running back out of the group. Yeah,
there's no doubt. Don Chaney, in terms of explosiveness, consistency, vision, all the things you want in a running back, he was the best one that they had, the most complete one that they had. And it's a shame because he was just starting to get healthy again after the shoulder surgery in April. And so look, this week you're going to have, because of the suspension of Jalen Knighton, you're going to have 2 true freshmen backing up Cameron Harris. And so I think Rhett Lash is going to have to get creative this week, man. I think you're going to see some situations where Will Mallory's in the backfield, back there to protect, right? Or Elijah Arroyo, the backup tight end. They're going to have to be creative here with who they leave back there because Cam Harris isn't going to be able to play 75, 80 snaps by himself. And it's going to be quite obvious that when those freshmen are in the game, that they're only there to run it. Because if you leave them the responsibility to pass block with those guys just getting there, you know how hard it is for running backs to understand blocking schemes. It could get really ugly.
They struggle in the NFL. They struggle in the NFL with it.
Yeah. So you can't expect an 18-year-old Cody Brown, the kid out of Georgia, who, by the way, is a really good running back. You can't expect him to come in and play a whole lot this week. So it's Cam Harris or bust. And if Cam Harris goes down, man, I'm really interested to see what happens then. They got to hope that he stays healthy for the next 2 weeks.
Well, why is the other kid suspended? Do you know?
There's no arrest records. There's no arrest records in Dayton Broward.
Or you can't tell us because you'll have to kill us. Which one is it?
No. I'll put it to you this way. Whatever he did is not in the database for Dade and Broward County. So this to me is something that happened on campus that they're able to cover up.
Okay. All right. Because not a good sign either. You know, you lose one guy and then the other guy, whatever it is, that he's got some kind of maturity issues. You know, he's got to figure it out. Defensively, when you look at what App State was able to do, and look, this is a game where they gave Miami the 2 points on the bad snap and then the short field for the touchdown too. They kind of gave them 9 points in all of this.
Chase Bryce gave that game away. Their quarterback gave that game away.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But they had the opportunity there. Defensively, what have you seen from this team that makes you feel like they've made big time strides? Nothing.
It's really hard to point anything out, Big O. You put me on the spot.
I saw your face. That's all I need.
I've got. I don't have a lot of pass. I guess Tyreek Stevenson, right? He played pretty well, right? He had 3 pass breakups.
Yeah.
Here's what I see. Number one, in the back end, there's too much confusion, too many breakdowns where the safety and the cornerbacks are not. Like, there's too many plays where receivers are running wide open, okay? And I think that's their number one issue. Whose fault is that? Again, Travaris Robinson has a great reputation. He puts guys in the first round of the NFL draft at cornerback all the time. It's the same guys, right? It's the same dudes playing, making the same mistakes over and over again. I don't know. Up front, you know, I think Appalachian State got the ball out quickly. I don't think Manny Diaz was lying about that. There were a lot of situations where the ball was getting out fast. They are a running team. So the fact that they only have 2 sacks on the year, I don't know how much of that is, you know, you could put on them not blitzing enough. I think they're blitzing a lot. I think they're trying to get to the quarterback a lot. I just think the ball's getting out quickly. Chance Williams, he's the guy who deflected the ball, right? He's the guy who had the fumble against Alabama that he forced on the sack. And this week he again, it's the young guys. It's Jalen Rivers. It's Chance Williams. It's the transfer, Tyreek Stevenson. I get it. We want to shit on the coaches because they're not getting these guys ready or they're not preparing or playing at their best. But at some point, when do you turn around and say, I mean, do you think Manny Diaz isn't teaching these? You think these guys aren't being told this over?
That's his fault. I mean, these are the kids he has. If they're not learning, that's his fault. You recruited the wrong kid. You brought the wrong kid to the University of Miami. That's just the bottom line. You didn't bring a kid that was caring enough to learn what he has to learn and get it done. And that, to me, and this is where I've piggybacked off of you now. Where we're at a point now where, look, bro, Manny Diaz is what he is, just like Randy Shannon, just like Al Golden. In the end, I'm not even here to blame Blake James anymore. To me, it's all about this administration. This is what you get. Look, I see USC now fires Clay Helton, and USC hasn't been able to find its way back to being elite. Neither has Tennessee. Texas has been in that battle for many years now. Florida State just lost to Jacksonville State. That Norville guy hasn't done anything. You see what's going on.
Big O. Somebody we know won a big game last weekend. What's his name again?
Oh,
that coach at Oregon who won a big game at Ohio State?
Yeah. Crystal ball. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody won a big game, right? Somebody we
but I
mentioned,
laugh.
right?
I laugh at silly Canes fans that think he's going to leave Oregon and Nike money to come here. You know what I mean? It's like it
Right.
gets so ridiculous. But if UM didn't have such an ego, I guess, as an administration, they would have told Mario years ago, "Hey, get your ass back here and run our program." You took FIU to bowl games. You certainly, and you were the number one recruiter in the country for Nick Saban.
You know what?
Get your ass here, but they're butthurt from all this stuff.
You know what that was? Hurt feelings from Mario leaving Al Golden's staff to go learn under Nick Saban. That's all that was.
Yeah, and I talked about this yesterday, and I put it bluntly. I said, you're a piece of shit if you are holding someone back from improving themselves, or you're not encouraging them to go improve themselves. And he would have never gotten that Oregon job if he was stuck here in Miami. And he might have been fired with Al Golden and everybody else and just labeled like the problem. It's like Chris Greer, dude. Chris Greer was there for 16 years, never getting the job. But every regime that took over kept him. Why? Because his reports are on the hard drive. His reports must have been pretty damn good. So everybody kept around like, okay, he knows how to scout. And finally, they gave the black guy an opportunity. And so finally, he's able to get, you know what I'm saying? So Mario is so silly at this point. Miami burned themselves for being butthurt. The guy went to Alabama. It's a better job. Congratulate the guy. Wish him the best. That way you never burn the bridge and you can bring him back just in case. Instead, you think small, and this is where you're at. And this is why I'm with you now. Complaining about Manny or Blake James doesn't matter a damn bit, because if the administration is going to spend the money on the Diaz's of the world and the Goldens of the world and the Shannons of the world, Miami is dead in the water, bro. You got to find yourself an elite staff, not just a coaches, offensive and defensive coordinators. Bro, you're playing against Alabama, and there are NFL head coaches next to Nick Saban running his team. I mean, this is crazy. This is what you're competing against. So until you take it to that level, it really doesn't matter complaining about Manny Diaz anymore.
Agreed. And, I was having this conversation with Matt Chodell, who writes for Kane Sport. He's covered the team as long as I have, 20 years. And, we were looking at the field today, and I told Matt, I said, hey, we want to talk about part of the issue here. Look at the NFL rosters right now. How many former Hurricanes are even starters in the NFL, Big O? How many guys are they producing
It's dying
that do
out.
anything?
It's dying out.
That number is down to like 6 or 7 in terms of starters. Yes, they've got 28 guys in the league and a few more on practice squads, but you're literally down to like Greg Rousseau, Calais Campbell. In terms of impact players, Denzel Perryman's only starting for the Raiders because his coach, his former coach with the Chargers, is now with the Raiders. Braxton Berrios is like the one guy who's doing something offensively. You have two line, like there's not the whole thing about, look at how great we're doing on Sundays. That thing is ended for recruits. Like there's really nobody to point to for them to say, yeah, that's a Hurricane. That's a guy that I want to come to. So to me, when you talk about replacing the coach, when you talk about, pointing to greatness, like there is a huge gap now where you have a lot more to overcome as a program. 10 years ago when Al Golden was here, there were a lot of NFL guys that came out of the University of Miami he could point to when he went into recruits' houses and said, look, that guy's a Hurricane, that guy's a John Vilma, whoever, Frank Gore, all these guys, Greg Olson, right? They were all Canes.
Yeah.
And to me, that matters. That's going to matter for whoever takes over here eventually or whatever happens down the road. Like the kids are growing up and there's no Hurricanes to watch on Sunday.
No, the guy you just mentioned put in a left tackle into the NFL. His quarterback is kicking ass for for the LA Chargers, and his safety is here with the Miami Dolphins. You know what I mean? So, you're watching Oregon make an impact by putting people out there at a lot higher rate right now than the University of Miami. I mean, even it's silly for a Canes fan to think that he would leave that place. Last week, even a guy goes to me, Mario should go to LSU. And I go, why should he? He should stay at Oregon, dominate the Pac-12, make it easy
Easy
for him to get into
conference.
right, and then get into the playoffs and then play the big boys. Why would you want to go to the SEC and kill yourselves because only one team's going to get out of it because you're beating yourselves up throughout the season to get there? It doesn't make any sense. You're better off staying in the Pac-12. And right now, he's got a chance at dominating the Pac-12 now because he's got the best team and the resources. That's the other thing. I'm serious. If he goes from that place to this place, he's going to feel like he's in an alley with a can begging for quarters. You know what I'm saying? It just
Hey, all Phil Knight has to do is bring up a couple of La Carretas, put them up there around Eugene, and they're set. Like, what else does Mario need at that point?
Right, exactly. Just have Bustelo set up a little coffee stand there, and that's it. Right? You got your pollo tropical. We're gonna give you a little café Bustelo. Y ahí está la carreta, chico. And that's it. And that's it.
That's it. He's fine.
That's it. His bistec empanizado, and then un cafecito, and un pastel later on. And, maybe we'll move Vicky Bakery over there too at the same time. That's it. We'll just have like a little Latin area for that. And they'll probably get rich over there because all those folks out there, they've never eaten that food. So we'll fatten their asses.
Never experienced it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, brother. I know you don't get to go into the locker rooms right now, but what are you hearing about the mood, the atmosphere, the confidence of the players at this point in time?
It's hard to say. I think there's certainly a lot of guys with hurt feelings, right? Those guys who wanted or expected to play or thought they would have a role, and they don't. They've kind of been phased out. I can only assume that at some point or another, that's going to be something else they're going to have to overcome because those guys are going to get pissed off and probably become problematic. Again, I think the ultimate thing for Manny Diaz is he needs De'Aaron King to play well, and he needs him to lead well, and he needs him to rub off on other guys in that locker room. And right now, he's not playing well, and they're not playing well, which means that locker room is probably not doing well. Last year's 8-1 start did a lot to fix it, but knowing these kids, covering them from high school on, knowing a lot of them that play for this team, they love to change schools right away when things don't work out. They love to do that in high school. I wonder how much of that is going through their mind right now.
Crazy stuff. All right, what are you working on in The Athletic, my brother, so folks can check you out?
Well, I'm going to have a new podcast up soon, probably Wednesday. Colton Pouncey, who covers Michigan State for The Athletic, he and I are going to sit down and break the game down. So that'll be available. I'm writing today off of some of the stuff Garen talked to us about, pointing out some of the deficiencies on offense, getting into that a little bit more. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the same thing. So I'll have my weekly report on that. Everything else right now, is kind of, to me, irrelevant. Like the whole recruiting stuff, like how can you talking to recruits at this point with the way the season is? It's kind of like we really have no idea what's going to happen, right? Because if it falls apart, so is the recruiting class. So I'm kind of leaving recruiting in the back burner because to me, there's still a lot to be decided here in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, no, right now I'm looking at it and I'm taking Michigan State plus 6.5.
You're taking it? All right.
Yeah. I don't think the Canes are any kind of team that can give somebody a touchdown right now. I mean, I just don't believe that. You know what I mean? I have trouble with that. I have no faith right now in what's going on in that program, and I am terrified that this thing will never be a decent program again. It's just going to be mediocre. I mean, think about how bad UM and Florida State are and how far they have fallen, dude. I mean, it's ugly. I would have never thought this, dude. I thought they were set to be perennial powers year in and year out because of the way they've set everything up with their recruiting, where they're at in Florida. They would be so sexy to so many players all the time. And Miami had so much success changing coaches and still succeeding, which is not normal, by the way. Normally, you want to have long runs with coaches because that's when you can establish it. But you know what? I was foolish to think that it would continue, that you would just find the next one and the next one. And now it's been hard to find that next one. It's crazy.
Yeah, and really what happened was once the ball stops rolling, right, it's hard to get it rolling again. It's hard. It really is. And I'll tell you this, it's not just Miami, Michigan, right? I know they're 2-0 this year, but how much heartache have they gone through with Harbaugh? Texas just lost to Arkansas. I mean, they're a team that spends a shitload of money on coaches. There's
USC.
4 or 5 teams. There's 4 or 5 teams. Yeah, USC is another one.
Tennessee never recovered, dude, and Tennessee was always
right.
Always a perennial top 25 team. You never wanted to go to Tennessee to play the Vols. Ever, bro. That place was a home field advantage for them because they're
and now Pittsburgh walks in there and beats them like nothing.
Yeah. Right. It's crazy, man.
I'll say this.
Again, stability, like what I talked about before. You fire what's it called? The guy from Tennessee, now Fulmer, and you never recover. Now, how crazy is this? Kansas football's never really mattered. But, dude, the day they fired Mangino, they were actually half decent with Mangino, and they fired him. You look at South Florida with Jim Leavitt. They were up in the top 5 ranking. They were putting players into the NFL. Jason Pierre-Paul is still in the NFL from that era. And they fired the guy, and I know he went after one of the kids, whatever. But the bottom line is, it's funny how it's really fragile that once you may end up firing somebody, but you never know if you're ever going to be able to recover from it now too.
Big O, I think, the biggest problem college football has now, and we've talked about this some, it's really 4 or 5 teams, right? It's really, that's it. And I think 10 years ago, you could be the 20th ranked team and feel like, you know what? If we get our act together, our quarterback gets hot, we might actually have a chance to sneak up and get into a big bowl game and have a chance to win a national championship. That's not the case anymore. It's 4 or 5 teams, and that's why they're expanding to 12 teams, because they know, I mean, when I think we had a run here of the last 11 years where either Alabama, Ohio State, or Clemson has played in the championship. It's been one of those 3 teams 10 out of the last 11 years. So when it's that easy, where those 3 teams are always getting in there, something's wrong, and that's why they're trying to expand the playoffs so that you can change recruiting a little bit, so that kids are like, okay, I don't have to go to one of those 3 schools to play in championship games or to have a chance to play in championship games. That's why it's so important to expand the playoff.
Yeah. And in closing, we'll tell the butthurt administration, one of those 4, 5, 6 teams is going to now be Oregon with Mario Cristobal.
Yes.
So get used to it also. All right, Manny, excellent work as always by you, my brother. I appreciate you. We will talk to you again on Friday, my friend. Thank you very much, sir.
See you Friday, buddy. Take care.
You got it. There you go. Manny Navarro, baby. Gotta love it. With our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Well, just terrible, man. Really terrible what's gone on with the University of Miami. I'm just like, it's like sick to my stomach, man, to see what's gone on and how they have just completely lost it. It's a shame. It really is, because it's, for a while, the Dolphins, and now Flo has to rebuild this. But Miami doesn't resemble anything that Shula built. And basically, the back end of Wannstedt, and then all the other coaches after Wannstedt, they dismantled everything that Shula built. I mean, Jimmy started dismantling. He didn't want a lot of the stuff from the past and all. He was an asshole about all that stuff too. And so, you know what? Starting with Jimmy, because he never lived up to Shula's standards anyways, from Jimmy on till now, they completely destroyed this franchise. And they never resembled the winning franchise they were, the elite franchise they were. The Dolphins under Shula were royalty in the NFL. They became a joke. And now Flo has to rebuild this. That's why we fight these narratives all the time. That's why people don't believe that the Dolphins have turned the corner and they think it's the same old Dolphins. Well, guess what's happened? Everything that Schnellenberger and Jimmy, I will give him credit, obviously, right? All that stuff they built. I'll even, Dennis Erickson did a great job overall. I'll give Butch credit with the recruiting he did in the 90s to kind of reestablish the program. But since the early 2000s, from the back end of the Coca run, very Wanstead-like, and then everybody else after that, including Manny Diaz, they have gone to destroy everything that the University of Miami stands for. Everything that program was respected for is gone. Everything that people feared about the University of Miami, it's gone. They're not the same team. They're not looked at as the same team. They're not feared at all. And I know there's some butthurt Canes out there that can't handle the truth, but that's the truth. And it takes a while to build it back. And now the Dolphins are in the middle of that with Brian Flores to get back to that respectability and get back to being a perennial playoff team and be respected around the league. Like, okay, like what you do with Baltimore, what you do with Pittsburgh, what you do with certain teams around the NFL, Seattle, New Orleans, you name it. The ones that have been in the playoffs for many years now, and they've got great coaches and those kind of things. You have a level of respect for those kind of teams and their programs. Miami has to get back to that. And they will, I think. I think Flores can get them back to that point. Manny Diaz, there's no shot he's going to get you back to that point. He's destroyed it all. And unless the administration wants to actually spend the money it takes, you're done. You really are. I wanted to cover one thing because I had a listener who pointed out that, I've been a big supporter of Chris Grier. And why am I a supporter of Chris Grier? And why do I think that Chris Grier was going to succeed? And in a way, I can't say that he has succeeded yet, right? Because you got to get back to being a playoff team. You got to get back to, winning things. You know what I mean? But I believe they're going to be there very soon. I believe they'll be in the playoffs this year, obviously. So I think they're on their way. But one of the many, many different things, okay? I've gone on the road for over 20 years now in the NFL for a lot of the postseason games, from the Las Vegas Football Classic to the Orlando Gridiron to the East-West Shrine game to the Senior Bowl and obviously the Combine and all of that. And throughout all that time, I have watched Chris Grier kind of grow through the organization. And look, I'm not telling you that I know him personally. I'm buddies with him or anything like that. But I got to see him on the road and got to talk to a lot of people that knew him, actually, and talked about him, because that's good, because it's good to know the people that know him and kind of know about him, know about his dad, know about everything else. And I got to find out a lot about the work ethic. And over the years, I would know which are the good scouts at times with the Dolphins, because I could tell the guys that survive and the guys that didn't. And then I would get some of their reputations from other people that were in the organization, left the organization, have been around the organization, those kind of things. And Chris Grier is one of those guys that a lot of people had respect for. And a lot of people admired because the work ethic, and a lot of people also looked at him in a way that he was old school in the sense of building teams. So when he finally got the opportunity, and one that I was championing for him for a couple of years, I kept saying, hey, get rid of these guys and hire Chris Grier. And finally they did. And they gave Chris Grier the opportunity. And so far, I've been more impressed with the way he's taken over and turned the football team around compared to all the past GMs that we've had here with the Miami Dolphins. And we've had some other guys that have gone on to help other teams, like Spielman and Ireland, right? But those guys made a lot of mistakes here.
They kind of had to get their feet wet here and figure things out, and then went to their respective places, Minnesota and New Orleans, and they've had success, a lot of success there with picking players. This guy has been much more successful in his first run ever than all of those other guys. And I think that Chris Grier also had a perspective that none of us have. Chris Grier was there watching Cam Cameron make all his mistakes, and watching Nick Saban make all his mistakes, and Randy Mueller, and watching Tony Sperano and Parcells and company, and all of these people, Adam Gase. So the man had a great opportunity to like kind of take notes. Okay, this is not what I'm going to do. This is not what I'm going to do. This is not what I'm going to do. You know, that kind of stuff. And that's why I also felt that he had a foundation to have success. And knowing the fact that one regime after another kept him, that told me that behind the scenes, he must have been giving good advice to people. It's just, he's black. So, you know, it's going to be a little harder for you to get the opportunity that you normally deserve. So that's why it took this long for him to get the opportunity, because he's a minority. And I was a big fan of him. And I think that coming from the New England tree, his dad was a personnel guy. His dad's the guy, you know, his dad's the guy that picked Brady, right? I'm not sure if you know that. It's his dad that picked Brady. His dad said, you know, I like this kid. Let's take him. So his dad was the one that scouted Brady. So, yeah, I just thought the foundation was there. And I saw a guy that got passed up for other opportunities in the past, and he had paid his dues. And that's where, listen, does your job have politics? Because my business has a ton of politics. And sometimes that happens in all walks of life, and it happens in the NFL. So that's why I thought that Chris Grier would be successful. And so far, I love what I've seen from him, and I'm hoping that he takes it to another level and Miami gets that championship, man. Danny Hathaway says UCF got screwed out of the chance to play for a championship. UCF wasn't a championship team, sir, but you can make up whatever you want and try to convince yourselves that they were a championship team. You guys made yourselves a championship team. Your schedule wasn't championship. And if you were championship, guess what? You're not a one-hit wonder, my man. You know how they do it in this league? You know how they do it in college football? The ones that are going to the championship games are the ones that are there all the time in the playoffs. So if UCF was actually fall real, they would be up there challenging every year. So they had their little run, and it was fun, and that's it. Over. End of story. But, I mean, again, you can convince yourselves of whatever you want on that one. Wanstead equals Larry Coker as far as drafting players and recruiting players. That was the downfall of both in my, but it's what came after that just compounded the problem, my man. You know, Wanstead just started it, and so did Coker. You had an opportunity to end it by finding somebody else and ending that, and they didn't. And then another guy, and they didn't. And another guy, and they didn't. And that's why they're here where they're at right now. And I think the Dolphins have a chance to build out of it now, but I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for the Canes at all. Let's see. Stephen A. Smith loves talking about Chris Grier, and also Coach Flo, as Big O always says, shh, black. He gushes when the Dolphins come up. Well, I don't know. Listen, when Stephen A. Smith starts talking football, I turn it off. That's just me. I don't want to hear him talk football. He doesn't know jack shit. He doesn't follow it. What was it, a year and a half ago or two, whatever it was, he got thoroughly embarrassed by talking about players that weren't even in the league, and some were injured and weren't in the game. And just, it was so embarrassing that I knew right there and then, like, okay, we all can make a mistake because we're human, but those kind of mistakes were like, okay, I certainly don't follow this sport. That's kind of the way I felt. Okay. So Steven, it's like when you guys tell me about Calturd. There's no way I can listen to Calturd talk about anything. DJ Gallagher, thank you, sir. Appreciate you giving us a little love on the super chat. A double play for the Big O show. Cash App and Super. You did Cash App too? Damn, you are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O show. That's Cash Big O show. And let me check here your Cash App here. Yep, you got it. Alexander Lopez. Thank you. Thank you for giving us some love on Cash App. That is very nice of you, sir. Okay, I appreciate it immensely. Let's see. Let me check Venmo here. For those of you that went to Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Appreciate you there. Thank you, sir. So, DJ, thank you for hitting us both. Now we know your real name. Was I supposed to like release your real name? I don't know. I don't know if you're hiding from somebody, DJ. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you owe the IRS or something and you're trying to hide out, and you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I was supposed to mention your real name. Let's see. Big O, Genesis is coming to Washington, D.C. Should I go? Well, I'm flying to Cleveland in November to go see Genesis. Does that answer your question? I'm not a financial advisor. I don't tell you what to do with your concert tickets. You know what I mean? I can only tell you what I do with my crypto coin, and I do with my concerts. I am going to Cleveland to go see Genesis. And for those of you that are going to ask me, dude, why didn't you go to a bigger city? Why didn't you go to Cleveland? Just so you know the method behind my madness. Okay. 1, cheap flight. 2, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay. So, or the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I'm sorry, is the way I should pronounce it. My buddy has never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so we're going to go for that. And the last time I went to Cleveland, I went to Canton, was for Marino's induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And believe it or not, I didn't have time to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame during that time. So I am now going to get to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I get to see Genesis, and I get to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay. Looking forward. Oh, you know what? I'm looking forward also. I've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but guess what? I now get to hang out with Jason Taylor's bust. Ha! There we go. There we go. I love it. I love it. I keep hearing Flores is black. I thought his family was Honduras. Where's the Hispanic pride? Well, he's talked about it many times, dude. But what do you want him to do? Go out there and start talking Spanish? Maybe he's not a really good Spanish speaker. Maybe he's not comfortable. You know what I mean? But he is Dominican. He's said it himself, dude. He's prideful of that. That's not no es un Latino arrepentido, sir. Okay? That's not the case here. Relax. Chill. Flo's a good dude, man. Let's see what else. Genesis is coming here to Buffalo in November. Can't wait. That's what Eric Storm says. Listen, it's a little painful to watch Phil Collins right now because he's going through a lot of health issues. I mean, the man can't even hold drumsticks. I don't know if you guys know that. So it's like he's going through a rough time, but this is your last and only chance to see Genesis. I've seen Genesis a couple times, and I love Genesis. So I am looking forward to it. I love their music. I want to hear Mama, which is probably my favorite song of Genesis. I can't wait to just jam, man. Well, it's called See the Lonely Man Standing on the Corner. What's the name of that song? Is it called On the Corner? That's my favorite song. Right. That would be the one. But I don't think he'll do that. See the lonely man there on the corner. What he's waiting for, I don't know. But he waits every day now. He's been waiting for something to show. Whoa. Yeah. Love it. That is my favorite Genesis song. But I know I'm not going to hear that one, so I'll probably hear Mama, which I love Mama. It's an absolutely awesome, awesome song. In the Orange Bowl, he did a really cool thing. It was kind of dark. And then at the beginning of that song, it's the keyboards and all that. And then there's their ha ha ha. Ah. When he does that, he would turn on a flashlight on his face. And he would do the thing, and it would come on the screen, and then it'd go dark again, and then he'd do it again. And it was actually a cool open back in the day. Classic Genesis, Phil's son plays drums on the tour. I hear. Yeah, he played when I saw Phil solo. I saw him a couple times, one at the Fillmore and another one at where was the other one I saw Phil at? Was it I forgot where was the other one now in South Florida the last couple of years. Well, anyways, I saw him twice, and his son was playing drums then. Yeah. Yeah, so they kept it in the family, which is cool. But, I mean, when you're getting Rutherford and you're getting Tony Banks along with Phil, I just pray that Phil can get better and feel better, man. You never want to go out in pain. That's not fun. Big O, did you get to see Sandy Alcantara dominate again last night, 8 innings? Sir, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm barely watching the Marlins now. I got to be honest. I stopped watching. It's too painful, too frustrating to watch. There's got to be nothing on. There is no way I am leaving Monday Night Football to watch the Marlins. I just can't. Tonight, you think I'm going to watch the Marlins or I'm going to watch Inter Miami? Dude, I'm watching Inter Miami. Bet your ass I'm watching Inter Miami. I'm not going to watch. Inter Miami's playing for something. What the hell are the Marlins playing for? And I feel pissed for, yesterday, at least they won. But there's too many of these games where these kids are pitching great games and you're not supporting them because you didn't spend any damn money on hitting. And if you're expecting to develop the bats, when, dude? So they're going about it a really long way of rebuilding. It's going to be year 4 next year, and they don't look anything like a playoff team for next year. I'm going to be interested to see how active they're going to be in the winter meetings. The best version of Genesis is with Peter Gabriel. Nah, not even close. Nah, sorry. That psychedelic crap. It's all right. It's not that good. I mean, brother, just kick in 3 sides live, and there's no. That's it's all subjective. That's fine. You know what I mean? There are people that tell you that they like Fleetwood Mac's early days with Peter Green, and I'm going to tell you, hell no. Once Stevie Nicks and Buckingham joined, they went to another level. Plenty of people, they like early Journey. I'm sorry, dude. Once Steve Perry took over, it was over. So it is what it is. I guess it's a subjective thing. There are times that people will tell you they like the early portion of a band or whatever. The Syd Barrett days of Pink Floyd. Give me a little bit later. So no, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think it was decent music, but it was too out there at times. And once Phil took over, bro, those are the hits. Those are the monster songs, man. That's when Genesis became Genesis. They kind of were more of a show in those days than they were. I love Peter Gabriel more than Peter Gabriel Genesis. How about that? Okay? Give me games with what is it? Games Without Frontiers, War Without Tears. It's that's give me any of that stuff that he does. Salisbury Hill and the Soul album is an effing masterpiece. The Soul album is one of the 100 best albums in the history of music. Period. Not rock, not pop, not disco, not R&B, not funk, not rap, not classical. top 100 album of all time. I don't know where you want to put it, but give me him solo over anything that he did with Genesis. Anything. Give me Phil Collins solo over anything early Genesis. Give me Mike Rutherford and the Mechanics. Mike and the Mechanics over anything early Genesis. That's just me. Okay? That's all I can tell you. Fleetwood Mac was really two different bands, could have just changed the name. No, I know that. But it's up to you which one you like. It's not like I don't like the early Fleetwood Mac. I do like it, but are you kidding me, dude? There's no comparison. Once Stevie Nicks and Buckingham joined, the band went to another level. Please, give me a break. Top 100 records of all time has 200 records on it. What were the first couple of concerts you ever went to? For me, it was Aerosmith and the Eagles 2010. I'm 25. Well, I'll tell you, one of the first concerts I ever went to was in 1981, was Van Halen, and it was the Fair Warning Tour. That was one of the first few concerts that I went to. I had my dad drop me off about 5 blocks away from the Sporto because, of course, you had to look cool. You know what I mean? I'm not going to walk over to the Van Halen concert with my dad dropping me off in front of the Hollywood Sportatorium. Said, Dad, yo, I'm 15. I'm grown up now. Leave me 5 blocks away. We'll walk. No problem. We're set. We got our let's see, what did I have? Did I have some Earth shoes or something? No, what was it? What was those things that I had? I might have had those boot moccasins or something, some jeans, some bandanas, a shirt, whatever concert shirt I had. And we're good. We'll walk. We'll look cool walking. We're good. Don't leave me in front of the Hollywood Sportatorium. Are you crazy? So there you go. So yeah, that was one of my first concerts. Loved that concert. God, that was such a good concert to go to. Big O, what are your top 5 drummers? That's so subjective, dude. Okay, I'm not saying they're the 5 best drummers in the world. Are we good with that? Are we done? Okay, we're done. I'm not saying, I'm not putting them in top 5. I'm just telling you, you asked me my favorite drummers, right? Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden. Neil Peart from Rush. I'm going to go Alex Van Halen from Van Halen, of course. Terry Bozzio from Missing Persons. All right, see, I'm not going to go back to Cream and Baker and all that. Keith Moon. You're not asking me the best drummers of all time. You're asking me my favorite drummers. Remember that. Okay, so don't start bitching at me and complaining and calling me an asshole. How can you put them as the best? I'm just saying. He asked me favorites. Okay, I'm giving you favorites. Oh, Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater. Okay, those are my 5 favorite drummers of all time. Phil Collins was a monster drummer. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I'll probably go Bonzo before I go him. You know what I mean? So, it's so it is what it is. John Bonham, yes, of course. I know. Bonzo is amazing. Bill Bruford, awesome. Can't do it. Can't again, I'm not here to see like Hank Goldberg put Moon, Bottom, Baker, Mitchell, Wada. He's like putting up like the best of all time, he's like, okay, and those guys are all in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? But you asked me 5 favorites, not the 5 best of all time. That would be a different list that I would have to make up. Games Without Frontiers. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate you. That's my favorite song of his. God, I love that song. She's so. Let's see. Big O, have you had a chance to check out Thorocracy Mirrors of Soul? You know, I better do that today. Okay. Mirror of Souls. I wrote it down again, and I will check it today. I promise you I will check it today when I sit down. Better solo artist, Peter Gabriel or Phil Collins? Oh, not even close, Phil Collins. It's not. That's not up for argument. It's just not. It's just not. What Phil Collins has done as a solo artist dwarfs what Peter Gabriel has done. Peter Gabriel's had a really, really good career as a solo artist. Phil Collins has been like a monster, dude. Everything that he's done for movie themes to all kinds of hit songs. No. Phil Collins, bro. Like that's you can't even when you write hits for both, the list is not even close. It's nowhere near where Phil Collins is at. Phil Collins is one of the greatest solo artists of all time, actually. I can't say that about Peter Gabriel. I can say that about Phil Collins. I can say he's one of the greatest solo artists of all time. I can put him up there with the Elton Johns of the world. By the way, did you guys catch Elton John on Howard Stern? So Metallica was on Howard Stern with Miley Cyrus. As you know, they're doing all that crossover stuff. And by the way, Miley, you know, from Hannah Montana to where she's at now, I got to say, I like that, you know, she rocks out and she's got a terrific voice. She's super talented. And I like how she's done all this rock crossover stuff. But anyway, so Howard, as only Howard can do, he's got Metallica. He's got Miley Cyrus in freaking studio with him. And then he gets freaking Elton John, okay, on telephone. And so they're doing one of the Metallica songs. And here's Elton John talking about it's one of the greatest pieces of music and this and that. And he's giving Metallica all kinds of love and praise and all that. And Hetfield is like blown away that Elton John is praising everything about Metallica. You know, it was, I don't know if you guys can, if you want to go on YouTube, it's there because Howard puts up his clips on YouTube. I don't really watch a lot of Howard Stern, to be honest with you, but those clips that come up on YouTube, I will catch them because he'll have performances and he'll have, you know, it's a 3, 5, 7-minute interview with somebody. And so I'll watch it. But if you get a chance, Hetfield's face is absolutely priceless because you can tell, because he's the guy that writes the music a lot. You can tell how much it meant to him that an effing legend like Elton John is gushing all over his music, dude. It's freaking awesome. It's really, 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 really cool. You know, the drummer, damn it, Metallica's drummer, help me out. I'm brain farting here. It's with a U, right? Somebody help me out, man. Lars Ulrich. So Lars is kind of the guy that's going back and forth, and he turns to James and he goes, I know that you this means a lot to you about Elton. He's like, it's actually a really cool scene. If you want to check it out, man, you'll like it. Howard gets all woke past few years yawn. Howard got all woke past few years yawn. I'm not sure what that means, my brother. I don't know what that means. Nandi is a nice story for a young drummer. Peter Gabriel has a lot of great music, as O said. So it's another level. It is literally masterpiece. Every song is incredible. Oh, you're talking about So? Oh God, So from beginning to end. It's a great album. Great album, dude. There are times where people they put together one masterpiece and you just got to tip your hat to them. All right, folks, I got to go. I've already done 3 hours and 40 minutes today. That's a little too much. I shouldn't do that much. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you to all. If you send me a Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Cash Big O Show. Remember Twitter, Big O Show. reach out to us there. Follow. Please smash the hell out of the like button. It is so important that you smash the like button. And, of course, Yahoo email if you need to reach out to me, BigORadioShow@yahoo.com. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat channel. Te quiero.
Blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.